And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We are back here for Bandit Racing League coverage on Full Send Racing Network. This week, heading to the Monster Mile for the next chapter, Outdoors 125, here at Dover, presented by, again, our sponsor for tonight's race, Next Chapter Outdoors, who we will tell you plenty about throughout the course of tonight's broadcast, but we want to thank them for their support through both the Guzik brothers and the series as a whole. We also want to thank Perfect Shine Auto Spa, as always, for sponsoring tonight's festivities, as well as Apex Sim Racing, your main title sponsors for the Bandit Racing League in Season 11 here in the Cup Series cars. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another awesome race. It's been a couple weeks. We've been away for a little bit as we join back here. Here I am, Mr. Marshall Crocker Jr., as always, your host here for the Bandit Racing League coverage, courtesy of Full Send Racing Network. And yeah, unfortunately, we've been away for a little bit. We had some technical difficulties last week getting the series hosted from a technical perspective, and then the week before was our traditional off week in the schedule. So it's been a while since that great race we had a few weeks back that we'll recap here in just a moment, courtesy of Perfect Shine Auto Spa, where Ricky Hart Jr. in that one car finally broke the 40-race winless streak and won at Kansas Motor Speedway. And it was unfortunate that we had one guy missing out on that big race, a guy that was unfortunately not able to join us in the broadcast booth, but he joins us once again tonight. Mr. Chris Ferreira, you are back tonight, and you were just talking about one of your favorite tracks in the schedule, a track that you really look forward to each and every year, Dover, the Monster Mile, a 1 mile track that can create all sorts of drama for drivers, whether it be avoiding wrecks, causing wrecks with how tough those banking sections are. Just 2 weeks removed from a really, really great race. Do you think we're going to be back in the stretch of just incredible races, particularly race finishes in tonight's event at Dover?
Well, Marshall, I couldn't pick a better place to come back to than the Monster Mile itself. This is one of the most exciting tracks, in my opinion, on the current NASCAR circuit. It's really fun. It's fast. There's banking throughout the entire track. The walls want to come out and get you. It's just so much fun, and it's going to put on for an exciting show. It was a long 2 weeks, but this is the best way to get back to it here at the Monster Mile.
Yeah, talking a little bit about some guys maybe that I think could be looking to have a similar performance to Ricky, with how that was really a breakout showcase performance where he and Nick were the class of the field, and then late it was Ricky getting that good opportunity. As far as guys tonight that I think could dominate, it was funny that I jumped to him as he immediately drove into a barrier in practice, but I think Brett Guzik, the first guy I want to mention, as definitely a contender tonight for perhaps the favorite for the race, or maybe if not favorite, definitely somebody that you should keep an eye on, as he's probably going to lead some laps today. He was your pole sitter at the most recent race in Kansas. I think he's always a threat. We'll show you the points here in a moment as well. He's definitely doing well in that regard. So Brett Guzik, a guy to consider. But we'll put up our race picks here, Chris. And who's the guy that you're really looking for tonight? You think has a very good shot at picking up maybe a first win of the season, if not maybe a second or third?
Well, one guy that I've noticed that's been good in a couple aspects, a guy that's traditionally good here is Benjamin Lacey. You know, he's really good at tire conservation, which is what you're going to need here tonight. He's really good at concrete tracks. It's something that I've picked up on. But he's really in need of a win. You know, he needs a good performance first and foremost. But I think that not only can he have a good performance tonight, but this is a place where I think that he can go out and dominate and win. So I'm looking for him to have a really great performance tonight and be victorious at the end of the night.
Yeah, I think the Bandit Racing League doesn't traditionally, we don't get too many tracks where guys are just typically flat out dominant. One single track where a guy can just go out there and really, remind people just how good he is somewhere specific, except obviously like Nick at road courses. But Benjamin at Dover has just been a great combination these last few years. I think it really suits his driving style. I think it's a great pick, and I hope it's not too boring. I hope people aren't a little bit disappointed in the fact that I'm going to go with a guy who's currently sitting on pit road. He's done his practice for the day, and I think for good reason. He's typically a very well-practiced and well-prepared gentleman. But Nick Nickerson in the 2-car, a guy who kind of under the radar, but has had a few close calls here these last couple weeks. His win there a couple weeks back at Sonoma, you got to remember, last lap had that altercation with Brett, the guy we were just talking about a few moments ago, to just narrowly get that win. So a guy that had to fight tough for that one, just narrowly lost out to his teammate Ricky Hart Jr. under caution at Kansas. So it's been a busy year for Nick, and I think these long races, he may have adversity. He's had some issues and some struggles at the beginning of races, but he really capitalizes late and puts himself in a position to win. And I think just like at Kansas, I think Nick is the kind of guy that'll just put himself in a good spot. Wouldn't be surprised if we end tonight's race under yellow. And if that's the case, I think Nick's really good chance to capitalize. That being said, we are going to give you a little bit of information before we go too far in tonight's race. We're going to talk a little bit about your sponsor for tonight's event. That is, of course, let's bring it up here, Next Chapter Outdoors, for the Next Chapter Outdoors 125 here at Dover. And to give you a little bit of information about what exactly Next Chapter is, well, it's on behalf of Dawson Guzik, longtime driver in the series, and of course, our former co-commentator here on the Full Send Racing Network channel. But Next Chapter Outdoors is a social media platform that promotes wildlife conservation, responsible hunting, fishing, and recreation on public lands. It's a site that represents a vision to live a healthy outdoor lifestyle, preserve our world's natural resources, and encourage all of you and everybody at home and everybody in society to get out there and enjoy the potential and the beauty of our public lands and the beautiful nature and beautiful scenery that we have out there. As far as Dawson Guzik, he and the Guziks in their home state of Pennsylvania have over 2 million acres year-round that are open to public recreation and all sorts of outdoor use. So their Facebook and YouTube site promotes the mindset of, get out there, enjoy the world, and create some really great opportunities and great memories. And I know, speaking specifically about my childhood and, my past, I remember, all those opportunities to go on fishing trips or camping trips or canoe trips or any opportunity to get out there and experience kind of a blank canvas and, a different world out there with family. It really helps you learn about yourself, but about the people you're around. And I think in today's day and age, as time goes on, not just with the pandemic a few years back, but also just generally speaking, the world we live in today, I think a lot of people kind of overlook that opportunity. And one of the beauties of life is, and no matter where you are, you probably have some great natural landscapes to go enjoy. So as we just see the paint scheme here, courtesy of Brett Guzik, the 04 car. I love when he runs specialty paint schemes, and he'll be repping Next Chapter Outdoors tonight here at Dover, as Dawson Guzik will not be with us, but obviously Brett, one of the best in the series. So we thank you once again to Next Chapter Outdoors for sponsoring the Next Chapter Outdoors 125 here at Dover, and we will of course talk plenty about them throughout the rest of the race. With that being said, we're going to get into your race recap here, presented by Perfect Shine Auto Spa, because we've been talking about it a little bit. We want to remind you just what went down there at Kansas a few weeks back, and what was one of the best finishes we've had in the Bandit Racing League in a very, very long time. And in our race at Kansas, we were running the Clutch Automotive 125 there at Kansas Speedway, sponsored by Kevin Foster. And to get us started off, it was Brett Guzik. We've been talking a lot about him tonight, running that specialty Next Chapter Outdoors scheme. He was your pole sitter, was really quick early on in practice, went out there and led early on, but only about 10 laps in, it was Nick Nickerson that would take over after this caution with Kevin Foster, again, race sponsor, unfortunately caught in an early wreck. Nick would dominate pretty much the entire first stint of the race. You see him pitting there comfortably ahead, but this crash with Eddie Hagee and Curtis Yancey would kick off kind of a mid-race section of cautions. It was pretty green flag early on, but the cautions did breed cautions, as we had specialty guest Evan Wall in the booth to say just that. It was Nick and Sean Brady who were going to fight it away in the later portions of this race, and Brett had an awesome race. He's had a great season so far. He was in this fight, but this was the move that would win the race. It was Ricky Hart Jr., who was sitting right behind his teammate in the catbird seat in second all race, got that move just before the caution, just before we would have taken the white flag, and on the restart, we would not get another. It was a caution right into turn number one. Before we could get anything done, it was Ricky Hart who officially sealed his first race win in 40 races, and that would put him back on the I think in a happy mood and back on the positivity train. I know it was getting rough there for Ricky for quite a while there. Just, when you have one of those streaks that gets built up so much, again, we try our best to make them entertaining, but we try not to, patronize guys or beat up on them too much for having, longer sections like that where they go without a win. But I know that one was tough, and I mean, the question obviously here is going to be, Chris, tonight, how does it change for Ricky Hart Jr.? Do we think he's going to drive any differently? Do we think we're going to see something different from him? Because now we got honestly got to mention, like, he's punched into the playoffs as well. We built up the streak, but there was more significance to that race than just one race win for Ricky. And now that one car, former champion in the series, can focus a little bit more on just enjoying week to week and maybe not worrying quite so much about the overall championship implications.
I mean, I don't think much is going to change for Ricky. I think he's really excited. He has a lot of passion towards this league, and I think that win just kind of ramped it up a little bit. I think he's going to go out there and be aggressive. This is one of his favorite tracks. I know that for a fact. So I'm looking for him to be aggressive and keep trying to stack up those wins. I mean, you have to remember that while this car is a lot different from when he won the championship in it a couple seasons back, this is the type of car that he won the championship in dominating fashion. So I know he's trying to get back to those winning ways. I know that he wants to not be, the number 2 guy at GFR Racing. He wants to be the number 1 guy, and that competitive edge is still in him. So I'm looking for him to start trying to take off these wins here.
Yeah, I think mentioning that competition there at GFR Racing, a really good point. A lot of really talented guys there that are obviously going to be duking it out for points all season and kind of building each other up. 3 GFR guys in the top 4, the other being Curtis Yancey. And the points here, as you see your championship points on screen, currently Nick Nickerson leading by a fairly solid margin there, 36 points ahead to his teammate Christopher Hamilton, very quietly sitting in second in the points there. But it's been a great year for all those GFR guys, and don't forget the championship system we have this year. It is win and you're in, provided you make a minimum number of races. So this is not the full playoff order. This is just the a bit of a run through here to give you guys an idea of where your favorite drivers sit overall in the point standings. So it's been a pretty good year all around for everybody we're used to seeing, with the exception of a couple names. One of them being Kevin Foster, obviously former champion of the series, sitting a little bit further down in the points than maybe we'd expect. And another potentially being even Benjamin Lacey, your pick for tonight's race here, Chris. And that's why, as we see Paul Wilson go to the top of the leaderboard here in the very first lap of qualifying, the 86 car runs a 22.32. That'll be good to put the 86 car up in the top spot as Mark Allen Bivens goes second. Yancey goes third on his first lap. We'll keep up with some of the big names. But yeah, I think the big surprise we were talking about a little bit for the pre-race here, Chris, is that, yeah, some of these big names having struggles to start the season. Maybe Benjamin Lacey putting him a little bit more pressure on himself week after week, knowing he's outside the cut line right now on overall position, and he doesn't have that win to his name yet.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it in broadcasts in the past, where as these races take off, as we get closer to the playoffs, these guys are going to start getting a little bit more desperate, I would say. These guys are used to being running up front, but it hasn't been the case. This car is a little bit more of an equalizer on some of these tracks with the 550 package. When you come out to a track where you know that in the past you've dominated before, or you've had really good runs, you want to make sure you're doing that. Some of these guys, they're going to be wanting to go for the win because they're used to being in victory lane. But sometimes you just got to say, hey, I have a good run here. Let me just bring it home in the top 10 and start chipping away at those points.
Big lap here in qualifying for Benjamin Lacey. He's going to put himself on the front row there. So the pace from the 04 and the 7 is evident. The number 2 car sits in third at the moment. Jason Greenwell, really good performance. He's going to go fourth provisionally. Where does Welch put himself? 85 car not going to run in the top 10 in this very first lap. Going to go 25th, a full second off the pace. So must have been something went wrong there that first lap, or was really trying to build up for the second lap. We'll see where the Flushing, Michigan native comes across here. Remember, he was close 2 weeks ago at Kansas as well. Ran in the top 5 late, I believe, came home for a decent spot in the end, even with a little bit of damage. Where does he go? Going to put himself in 7th. So slots in just behind Ricky Hart Jr., right ahead of Mark Allen Bivens, who looks to come ahead into the race with a top 10 qualifying performance. As we see Tyler Rowland here, and that number 18 Valvoline car. He's going to run his first lap of qualifying, and we're getting towards the end here. We're about 2 minutes out from the start of tonight's race officially, but yeah, not a very surprising top 5 here, I would say, Chris. Just Brett, obviously Benjamin, Nick, but Jason Greenwell in 4th. A really good position for him in the 83 car, a longtime veteran of the series, Mr. Pompous himself, as we call him, for unrelated to his character, really good dude. But it's just funny to see something a little bit different every one of these races. And today, I think it's that 83 car, really good qualifying performance, and only 1/10 off Brett Guzik. Great to see.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree anymore. He's really putting in the practice lately, and it's starting to show. He's had some tough luck as of late with getting caught up in wrecks and races and things just not going quite his way, but he's been running quite well as of late. So let's see if he can put the whole thing together tonight.
Just watching the 08 car finish up his second qualifying lap here. Going to put himself 24th provisionally in tonight's race. Looking like we have a 29 car field here for tonight's race at Dover after the 2 weeks off. So good to see. Not a bad turnout, but definitely going to be looking for a few more guys. I'm sure they're going to make their returns here in the next few weeks. And that'll about wrap us up. Everybody now off the racetrack with a full 30 seconds left here in qualifying. So we're going to have a little bit of time before tonight's starting lineup. Do want to mention 2 things very quickly here in tonight's pre-race show. First of all, I want to mention the Bandit Racing League podcast that should have an episode coming out here in the next few weeks that I believe will feature, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Chris Ferreira, our co-host for tonight's race, will join in the 3rd episode of the Bandit Racing League podcast. And we also want to put the call out as well. If you are interested in potentially joining the Bandit Racing League podcast as a producer, if you have any interest in producing a show of such a type in a 1 hour, about an hour and a half to 1 hour podcast, if you have the audio capabilities, the ability to use any broadcasting software you would like to use for it, then potentially submit your interest. If you're interested, reach out to bhark, that's HARK, 2411 at gmail.com. That's BHARK 2411 at gmail.com, and you will produce our Wednesday night post-race podcast. If you're interested in getting involved in the Bandit Racing League and you want an opportunity to kind of work your way in and potentially work on other projects here with the Bandit Racing League in the future, that is a great opportunity through which to do so. So go check it out, but if not, go join or go follow the Bandit Racing League podcast here on YouTube. The link is in the description below, and go check out some of our first 2 episodes. I was a guest star on the second episode, and we had a few others in both the first week, and Kevin Foster that joined me on my episode 2. So that will about round us off for the pre-race for tonight's Next Chapter Outdoors 125. Let's get us started with our pre-race starting lineup, starting with your pole sitter, Mr. Brett Guzik. And here we go. Thank you again, as always, to Perfect Shine Auto Spa for the Perfect Shine Auto Spa starting lineup. On the pole for tonight's race, Mr. Brett Guzik in the 04 car, representing your race sponsor, Next Chapter Outdoors, starts on the front row alongside the race pick for Chris Ferreira. It's Mr. Benjamin Lacey for 785 Racing. Starting on row number 2, it is Nick Nickerson and Jason Greenwell. Paul Wilson, the Pennsylvania native, will start at the outside of the top 5, with Ricky Hart Jr. for GFR Racing running in the 6th spot. Then we go down to the 4th row. It's Cody Welch on the inside of Mark Allen Bivens. Then Eddie Hagee and Curtis Yancey round off your top 10. Joshua McQuiggan and Benny Hogan will make up your next 2 entries here as we jump down the order a little bit. Going to go to that is the 6th row here, with Christopher Hamilton starting alongside Kevin Foster. Jackson Knock and Bill Harkins roll off 15th and 16th. The 10 car of Matt Crockett alongside the 84 of David Lakey for Ignite RC. Chad Eldridge and Connor Gibson round off your top 20. Gibson currently sitting 5th in points, looking for a good roll tonight. Michael Ramos and Trey Ellis start 21st and 22nd. Nolan Gross going to start alongside Abby Visivasum in 24th position. And to round off tonight's 29-car field, it's going to be Hayden Paul starting alongside Hunter Henry on row 13. Tyler Rowland and Terry Condis will be 27th and 28th tonight. And it's Joel Wiggins in the 29th spot that will round off tonight's starting lineup, courtesy of Perfect Shine Auto Spa. Here we go. We are ready to go here, ladies and gentlemen. I believe we're going to take the green this very lap. So we're going to get a quick onboard here, courtesy of Brett Guzik. And the pace car off onto pit road. We are green here at Dover for the Next Chapter Outdoors 125. The 04 and the 7 car taking us down into turn number 1.
A little bit of a fumbled start there by the 7 car. We'll see if he can get back going here, but the 2 car quickly falls into 2nd place after Brett Guzik is able to kind of run away with it from the point.
Yeah, surprising early mistake there for Benjamin Lacey, a guy that we are very confident is going to have a good run today. It's a track he likes, but it's those little mistakes that, whether you know the track well or not, are gonna cost your race no matter what you do. So it's the 04 car and the 2 going to jump up 1 spot immediately into that 2nd position here. In the very first lap, we're all clear as of right now. A couple guys going side by side further back. It's Ricky Hart Jr., who's already slipped down 3 spots here. Got passed by Mark Allen Bivens, who moved up a spot, moved back a spot to stay a net 8th as to where he started. Here comes Curtis Yancey, who started 10th, might be up to 9th here in just 2 laps against Ricky Hart Jr. down to the bottom. 51 car going to make that pass. So the 1 car here early on, Chris, going backwards.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a surprise to me. I didn't expect him to not only qualify where he did, but to fall back like this. I don't know if it's a little bit of a tire management game for him. He's going to kind of take it easy on the tires and not try to wear him out too soon. But we'll see how this shakes out once he gets a couple laps in at race pace here. But yeah, this race tonight is going to be a lot about tire management. I can't say that enough. Tire management and patience. You know, the bottom is going to be where you're going to want to be for the start of the run, and then you're going to gradually move up to that, car and a half lane off the bottom, where you're going to have a lot of speed and momentum. But being careful, you don't want to, destroy the right side of your race car coming out of these corners, because this wall does jump out and bite you. So being patient and taking care of your stuff all night is going to be the name of the game.
There's a very clear hierarchy forming up here as far as pace goes. It is the front 2 who are taking off here. The pole sitter, Brett Guzik and Nick Nickerson. I know it's only been 5 laps, but already opened up about a half a second to a full second lead now, the 2 of them here, at a track that only takes 22 seconds per lap. So that is immense pace here, Chris. To see them breaking away that quick is certainly shocking, to say the least, although Benjamin Lacey starting to run good lap times. Was 2/10 faster last time by. 7 car going to start tracking him down here, I'd imagine.
Yeah, well, once they start getting heat in their tires and these guys start battling a little bit more, I think the 7 car is going to come back into the picture a little bit. But really surprising that the 2 cars able to hang right on the back bumper of the 04. I really like how the 04 cars approach the corner as we get a yellow.
We do indeed. Early caution here at Dover. If Evan Wall were here, he would probably say cautions, precautions, but we never know. It could be one of those quick cautions we have towards the start of these races, and then could potentially see a green flag race from there. It has happened in the past, but it's going to be Hayden Paul and Hunter Henry, the former fan favorite there, the driver, the number 9, is his old nickname. Those guys were battling further back. I was keeping an eye on it, but not enough to put them on. But here we go. Yeah, just a weird crossover there. Looks like the 54 car got pitched up into the top. I think the maybe the 9 car tried to come up a little bit early. No matter what happened, they locked into each other. They made quarter panel contact, and just like that, we'll see it one more time. But that'll bring out your first caution of the day. And again, you see that significant damage to the 54 Ignite RC car of Hayden Paul.
Yeah, that's a tough one there to kind of see what's going on. You know, it looks like the 54 was kind of out of the groove, and then the 9 was coming to the start finish line, coming out of 4. It looked like he got a little loose, and they both just kind of got out of shape and got into each other. So that's a tough break for them this early in the race. But fast repairs are in play tonight, so they'll be back. Just got to take care of it.
Early pit stop here for Joshua McQuiggan coming down pit road. He was in P11 at the time of the caution, right where he qualified. So kind of surprised to see an early pit stop here, especially this is what, 8 laps in. Like I guess I did take a splash of fuel by the looks of it. Didn't even seem to use a quick repair. So what do you maybe chalk that up to, Chris? You know, only 8 laps and you're already coming in for a tank.
The only thing I could say is maybe some you know, fuel strategy games here, or maybe he brushed the wall, wanted to get that car serviced real quick and make sure that car was at 100%. But yeah, that is a bit of an odd one, but better to get it all fixed up and ready to go now under a yellow than try to do that kind of service under green here with 22-second laps.
I just want to very quickly say, as we see a really cool shot here, I love these kind of dynamic camera angles we get courtesy of Track Cams for Gourmets, our sponsor for custom track cameras. If you want to go check out some awesome custom camera packages for pretty much every NASCAR oval in the entire iRacing service, as well as a variety of global road courses, Track Cams for Gourmets is your way to do it. They have track or cameras for both commercial and personal use. Just make sure you get a commercial license if you are going to be using them for broadcast purposes. But the link there is in the description. Just wanted to plug it there because we got a really cool angle off of 3 and 4. And let's talk a little bit more about the track here, Chris, because we have a moment. The Monster Mile, as it's been famously known, it's been one that has played host to a variety of really, really great races over the years. I mean, most recently it played host to that iconic Hendrick Motorsports 1, 2, 3, 4 finish the other year. But as far as of great memories, any quick great memories you have here at Dover, or any iconic races you want to mention?
I mean, I just remember Jimmy Johnson winning here a lot, and some just really great finishes here in general. You know, you see a lot of wrecks on the front stretch when it comes to restarts because everybody kind of bottles up and there's nowhere to go. But one unique thing about this track is it is banked all the way around. So that does mean something as far as when they wreck, the cars tend to go to the bottom, but then they make contact with the inside wall and bounce back up. So it's a little bit different than everywhere else we go, kind of similar to a Bristol, but we're getting ready to go back to green flag. Nick Nickerson's on the outside now. Benjamin Lacey's on the inside. I want to see how this shakes up. I want to see if this inside line is going to be the preferred line on the restarts throughout the night. So let's see what we got here, as it looks like the 7 car got a lot better restart, but the 04 car gets one heck of a restart there. Gaps the 2 car by about 4 car lengths. Let's see if he can use that advantage to his advantage for the rest of this run.
Yeah, that was straight up clinical there by Brett Guzik. You do not get a much better start than that. Typically, week to week is further back. I think Matt Crocker got on the outside wall a little bit. Christopher Hamilton going side by side with Eddie Hagee here at the start of this battle. And just in front of them, it's Ricky Hart Jr. And going around the outside is Jason Greenwell. The 83 car going to drop back to the 1 car and going to try to fall back in the line, hold off the very hard-charging 15 car. Christopher Hamilton already out 4 spots here, but back to the front. Yeah, it was Brett Guzik got that great start, but Nick already picking that momentum up to second. Once again, as you were talking about in that last run here, Chris, right on the back bumper already.
Yeah, he's closing that gap quick, and as we have some intel from one of our insiders here, maybe Dawson Guzik, saying that Nick might want to push the pace on Brett a little bit this this race, only because he knows how well Brett can manage the tires. And if I was Nick Nicholson, that is a great strategy to try and make Brett a little bit uncomfortable, make him push his stuff a little bit past his limit that he's comfortable with, and hopefully make a mistake. But we'll see how that works out for the both of them. I mean, if they push really hard, they're going to fall right back into the rest of this pack, and I know that 7 car is going to be foaming at the mouth to see these guys sliding back to him on worn-out tires.
I mean, I agree with the mindset. My question for Nick is just how easy is it going to be to pass? Because if Brett can just kind of lax up, as we see another yellow flag here, we're going to see Bill Harkins going around, Tyler Rowland involved. Those are the only 2 principal drivers I can see, and I don't think either guy significant damage. A little bit of right rear quarter panel damage for the... no, there you go. The front bumper did take some damage on the number 12 car. So, second caution of the day, but I was going to say, I don't think there's going to be a huge opportunity for... Nick to get by. If Brett can find a way to conserve tires while also making enough pace and putting the car in the right spot to hold up the number 2 car, I don't think that might be the best strategy for Nick, because he's going to be burning his stuff up. Obviously, Brett may be able to continue on his own without needing to push too much to defend. So we'll see. We'll see how easy it's going to be to pass tonight. But yeah, it looked like the 12 car here just got in the outside wall. Roland got into him, kind of sent the usual shockwave down, and the domino effect, you could call it, that usually happens here at these tighter, smaller racetracks. So Matt Crockett, who hit the outside wall earlier, going to come down pit road. So is Joshua McQuiggan once again, and Terry Condis, all going to make their first and second, in the case of McQuiggan, trips down pit road tonight.
Yeah, that wreck there shows you a little bit about what I was just talking about, how this car this track rather, kind of cleans itself. Cars kind of start bouncing everywhere. It's like a pinball machine. It's a little bit bigger than Bristol Motor Speedway, which I believe we're going to in a little while here. I think we're going to the dirt version of it, if I'm not mistaken. But nonetheless, this is a bigger version of Bristol, a lot faster. But I mean, we're off to a pretty good start. Some of the wrecks that I thought were going to happen are going to happen. I'm really hoping this goes green, because, I mean, the racing here becomes very, very good, especially when the tire management aspect comes in. So I want to see these guys kind of work these tires, work different strategies, and see who can kind of break away. I know we've had some really exciting close finishes, but I'm looking for someone to go out and flat out dominate a race. I mean, even at Sonoma, where we thought Nick was going to run away with it, he didn't. He had to go win in an exciting fashion. So that one really came down to the wire. So I'm looking for someone to kind of say, hey, you know what, I'm here. I'm going to go out and dominate this race and kind of make a statement. And I think that we can have that tonight. We just need to kind of settle in here and get some green flag runs under us.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think these races are always best when guys have a little bit of time to just settle out and kind of get a handle in their car, kind of learn the track in the context of the settings we're actually running within this particular session, so that later in the race, when we do get those fun battles and those fun on-track moments, the guys actually know what they're working with and know the track, and can lead to green flag finishes, because we don't have to worry about late race scrambles for position being all willy-nilly and guys don't know how to drive in packs and stuff like that. So hopefully not going to be the case tonight. We got a really good question in the chat. What's the top speed here at a track like this? It is an interesting question, because Dover definitely a smaller racetrack but very high banked. Don't have the telemetry here for these couple laps as we go under caution, but once we go back to green, I'll be sure to mention it here, what top speeds guys are hitting, because it tells me here per driver what the fastest speed was for every driver on the lap, and might be actually curious to see who is able to conserve the most speed, potentially to give us kind of an idea of who may need to brake less, who may conserve tires a little bit better, or who is pushing harder if they are consistently running faster through the corners and thus maybe burning those rubber tires up a little bit more. So very quickly, we want to shout out here Mark Allen Bivens having a good race so far. He's up one spot, but the biggest mover, I was talking about him here a few minutes ago. Actually, Nolan Gross there back in 18th position, the biggest mover. He's moved up 5 spots from 23rd, so I want to shout out the O2 car here as well, if we can find him on track. But also Christopher Hamilton. We were talking about Chris all pre-race and a little bit there before, but I think definitely not the forgotten member of GFR Racing to speak. He has been here every week of the season, but you got to wonder, with all the championship pedigree there at GFR Racing, to be the only non-former champion in Bandit Racing League's kind of premier team, GFR Racing. You got to wonder, maybe there's some pressure on the back of Christopher Hamilton, and is a consistent set of podiums and good finishes going to be enough in his mind to kind of justify his spot and kind of mentally compare himself to his very established teammates in the series?
Yeah, I think that he definitely fits into their team very well. I mean, I not going to sit here and say that. Him not having some of the accomplishments in this league that some of the other drivers do at the team doesn't kind of weigh on him. But I think that he's sitting in a good spot. I think he's taking off some good finishes, and his time will come here in short order. But let's get back to some green flag racing.
Let's go here indeed, folks. I want to start seeing some race predictions here in the YouTube chat as we get going for lap number 18 here of our race at Dover. Next chapter outdoors 125. Here we go. Pretty good start there for Brett Guzik. Not too bad. Keeping a pretty good pace there through turns 1 and 2. Shoots by the camera, and yeah, pretty good start there. Solid. The 04 car going to get about a tenth ahead of Nick, but no, even better charge this time for the 2 car. Was flying off of turns number 1 and 2. Now goes on the attack. It's the 04, the 2, the 7, the 85, and the 76. Mark Allen Bivens up a couple spots, and Christopher Hamilton moves up 3 more on that restart.
Yeah, as Nick's applying the pressure to the 04 car, Barrett, terrible start for the 86 car. He got into the wall in the restart, kind of stacked everybody up. I thought there was going to be a wreck, but I know the 1 car of Ricky Hart got in the back of him just a little bit, but we're going to have to see how that all works out for Paul Wilson there, as he definitely got the wall pretty good. I want to see how his car's handling after that, see if he can rebound.
Yeah, Paul Wilson qualified well here, still sitting in 7th, so not too late, but yeah, definitely has to get his composure and dial it back in. Looking at back up front here, Brett Guzik starting to kind of pull that gap out a little bit, though. Back up 2/10 there after what was at one point a 0.05 of a second gap between him and second place, Mr. Nick Nickerson. So I think these two guys are going to start going back and forth here. And to answer the earlier question, top speed any driver ran that last lap is a 186-mile-an-hour pace from Paul Wilson. So talk about getting back up to speed, bumping the pace back up. Paul Wilson doing just that. So about 186 miles an hour, your top speed here at Dover.
That is blazing fast around a 1 mile racetrack, let me tell you. That,
indeed.
you're going really fast. But nonetheless, I mean, it looks like the 04 car has kind of found his rhythm a little bit. I don't know if Nick is kind of settling in here, but he's starting to apply the pressure back again. But nonetheless, this is with this package on this car, we have the low downforce package, high horsepower. So these cars should have around 700, 750 horsepower tonight. At this track, we should see these guys spread out. I know in weeks past, we've kind of see them all be stacked up, kind of pack racing. At this track, we won't see that. So in the event we get a nice long green flag run, you're going to start to see these guys spread out and kind of work their car. They have to use the tools at their advantage. You know, they have to use their tire management, their fuel management, all that stuff. It's going to be a driver's kind of race tonight. So I'm hoping we can keep this trend going with these green flag runs here, as the 7 car is starting to apply some pressure on that 2 car.
Yeah, he is indeed trying to make this a 3-horse race. He's about as close to the 2 as the 2 is to the 04. Further back, we're seeing a couple guys pulling on here, including Kevin Foster, who went on the attack. I think just got Eddie Hagge there for 11th position. So that 8 car there, the Clutch Automotive entry of Kevin Foster, really trying to work up those good finishes. He's a little ways further back in the points this season than he would like, but he's definitely working his way up. So today could be the start of good things to come here for Kevin Foster if he can keep up that forward momentum. As there we go, we see Mark Allen Bivens sliding up a little bit here through turns number 1 and 2. Maybe a chance to go on the attack for Christopher Hamilton. Is the 15 car going to peek to the inside? Has an opening. Is he going to try to go down there? 3 and 4, they're side by side. The 15 car, good momentum. He will clear him through 3 and 4 there. So GFR Racing driver currently sitting second in the points. That is exactly why they're going to have to shut the door, though, to turn number 1. There is an opening, but he does get it closed. Christopher Hamilton back in the top 5, and we now got 2 drivers for GFR Racing in the top 5. Other than that, it's Guzik, Lacey, and Welch all driving for different race teams. Here comes Welch.
As we were looking for that battle, the 7 car got to the inside of the 2 car, got him in the higher lane in 1 and 2, and the 85 car saw his opportunity, stuck it in there in 3 and 4. So the top lane isn't quite there yet. I do like that as the tires wear in. They're going to have a lot more momentum. You can kind of lean on the tire a little bit more when you get up into that top lane. So, yeah, some little shuffling up front. See how the 2 car can rebound. But, yeah, here comes the 7 car.
Here he comes indeed. Again, really good lap times. Best lap of the race currently at 22.35 from your leader, Brett Guzik. But last time by, it was the fastest car on the track was Benjamin Lacey, almost a full 10th-and-a-half faster. He is really starting to track down that 04 car, and that's why he was your pre-race pick, you were saying, Chris. Just really good at this racetrack, knows what he's doing. His yellow flag coming out again. You see Paul Wilson again, that 86 car. Had trouble here at the beginning of the stint, and has had damage, goes right into the 4 of Trey Ellis. Trey may not be particularly happy about that, the way he merged back out there, but Eddie Hagge was having a really good start to the run, qualified in 9th. 97 car smoking, showing significant damage here. So go back and go check out your Apex Sim Racing replay. See who brought out the third caution of tonight's race. Sorry, Butt Kicker Racing replay to clarify. Get a better camera angle here. Let's go to our dynamic TV camera. Again, courtesy of Track Hamster Gourmet. So the 86 car just getting a little bit loose. And then a little bit, actually a little bit tight, I should say. Kind of just slid up in front of the 97 of Eddie Haggy, and that led to a chain reaction that caught both drivers out on the backstretch. And again, all the way down the backstretch, it is banked. So guys just kind of slide into the inside, makes it a little bit harder on paper to avoid. But if you can get up to the top side, you should be okay. So we saw a couple drivers in the background, potentially one of your favorite drivers out there, were able to avoid that wreck. The only guy not down pit road here as we get started for lap number 29 is Terry Condis, who will pass the whole field, go to the front. But Brett Guzik, your first driver down pit road from the lead lap.
Important thing to note here, this is probably one of the slowest pit roads we have on the iRacing server. I believe it is 35 miles an hour. So as we were just talking about, 186 miles an hour to 35 miles an hour. If you want to pit, you want to pit under yellow. Getting on this pit lane here is a very difficult task. So yeah, 4 fresh good years on all these cars. They're going to get back out here. 31 laps, 30 laps on those tires. I'd say probably about 20-25 laps green flag racing. So they kind of know what they got now. They kind of know where they stand. Let's restack them up and see what we got.
Close battle between a couple teammates there off pit road. You saw Benjamin Lacey in the 7, Cody Welch in the 85. Almost perfectly even there as they pulled out of their pit box, but it was Benjamin Lacey, his teammate there at 785 Racing, who did get the jump on him. So it's going to be Condis there, the 32 car, going to be at the front of the field here on this next restart. Again, decided to forego pitting. A little bit of damage to the front nose of that car. So it'll be Condis, Guzik, Lacey, Cody Welch, Nick Nickerson, and Christopher Hamilton, your top 6. Then another GFR car in 7th for Ricky Hart Jr. Mark Allen Bivens back where he qualified in 8th. Curtis Yancey, I should say, the 51 car, going to be in 9th. And Benny Hogan making his way into the top 10 now with the number 5 car. It's going to be then Hogan, Foster, Greenwell, Lakey, Knock, and Ramos, your top 15.
First time the 04 car is going to be starting on the outside tonight. I don't know what kind of tires the 32 car has, but nonetheless, the leader for most of this race up until this point, the 04 car, will be on the outside. So that'll be an interesting spin on this restart. But I do want to say, I'm watching the broadcast here simultaneously while broadcasting. I will say, Track Hamster Gourmets, you're killing it. I mean, I love the lighting here at Dover. It's always really good. The time setting, I don't know what it is, the way the sun hits this track, but wow, this looks really, really good. Shout out Track Hamster Gourmets. Killing it.
Yeah, really, really cool stuff. I always wanted to, back when I was starting out broadcasting, I was unaware they made custom track cameras packages, or at least ones for broadcast use. And I always remember I used to do like custom cams and would set stuff up on pit road in fixed locations, or do like panning cameras across the start-finish line. But man, when they get something going there, if they make like a custom package that uses a bunch of different angles randomly every single lap, it really does push even further towards the realm of real life racing. And this combined with other stuff I'll see on random big NASCAR broadcasts that broadcast official series, there's some crazy stuff we can do here on this sim. It's really, really cool. So Terry Condis now going to dip below the line, going to drive in front of the pace car. I don't know what's happening here. I don't know if he is I don't know what he's doing, to be honest here, Chris. Not sure what the situation is here, but we're getting doubled up, stacked up, ready to go. We're going to go green next time by here for your 4th restart of the race.
Sounds like there's concern that Terry may not know that he is the leader. So we're trying to figure this out here, but it looks like we're going green flag race, and race control is going to have to sort this one out. Nonetheless, we'll be racing here soon.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been a bit of a surprise. I think he was trying to follow Bill Harkins there, who did get the lucky dog wave around there from the front of the field, whereas the 32 car, he is the leader. I don't know if he knows that he was on the lead lap when he passed everybody for position. Hopefully he knows now. But you got to think that's got to be a little bit stressful, Chris, finding out you're about to try to restart an entire field about 10 seconds before you do. But here we go. 32 car controls the field. Very good point there you brought up, Chris. The 04 car, first time on the outside. How will he do? Big checkup. He's loose. He's loose. Saves it. Does he save it? No, he doesn't. Big wreck at the front of the field. Everybody's involved.
Oh, my word.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my word.
Oh, boy.
You know, you said it. the nerves could have gotten to him.
Yeah.
But that was wild.
Wow. And Nick Nickerson involved in that. First car I saw, a full front bumper on that 2 car is missing. And this is where we're going to go to our first Skype camera shot of the day, because we're going to just check in here on Mr. Nick Nickerson, see how he's feeling about that one. Weird situation, Chris. What was your take on that from first look?
I don't know if he knew which gear to start in. It looked like he may have started in first gear rather than second and just spun the tires, or maybe he wasn't ready for the old tires on that restart. But that was wild. I mean, he went to get to the gas, and the rear tire said no, and he just chased it all the way down, and we kind of saw what happened from there. But yeah, that was a big wreck with some big names in it.
Looking live here at Nick Nickerson, looks pretty composed. I mean, is still missing the entire front bumper of the race car, but I mean, Nick's always kind of a cool and collected guy. Anyways, I wasn't expecting a huge, crazy freak out there, but definitely an unfortunate situation because nothing the guy was going to do there. Nothing he could really control about anything that went down there, unfortunately. So that's racing sometimes, and Benjamin Lacey also, I think, got caught a little bit up there in that. Doesn't look like a ton of damage on the 7 car, but he is coming down pit road to repair. So there is 2 really, really big names, as well as Ricky Hart Jr., who was caught in the aftermath of that wreck, and Kevin Foster as well. So 2 GFR teammates who were having pretty good races, as well as Mark Allen Bivens. Now they're down pit road, and the race order totally shakes itself up.
Yeah, so as we've seen here at this track in particular, the wrecks are typically happening further back in the pack. I mean, they certainly happen from the front row, as we just saw. But yeah, Nick's gonna have to go use that fast repair now, and that's gonna put him in a pretty difficult spot coming through this pack, because things get pretty dicey back there. Like I said, this is like a faster version, bigger version of Bristol, so you can get damage on your car just by being around people bouncing off the wall, bouncing off of you. So these guys are gonna have to very patiently, methodically work their way back up to the front of this pack here. But if you're these guys up front, I mean, you just saw some of the biggest names in the series just get knocked out of this race for right now. I know they're going to be back. I know they're going to be thinking that. It's only a matter of time. But for the time being, go seize this opportunity.
Just now showing the butt kicker racing replay there on that big caution that involved Terry Condis and a number of other top drivers. Just trying to find a good angle there for a little bit, because it's there's a lot to break down here, because further back a lot of guys got involved too. So you see obviously the front of the wreck. There was Terry Condis getting loose and I think made first contact with Nick Nickerson. And then you see David Lakey gets loose and goes around there trying to avoid Nolan Gross coming to a full stop to get out of his way. So one more time, let's go to Condis. And again, to break this down, I think it was just, you just got loose. Just either didn't know what gear to start in, or the tires were too old, or no, he collected actually the 7 car of Lacey first, who was running at pretty good pace. And Nick, I think, could tell that something was going to go wrong. He backed off. And then it was the 1 car here who got involved late. Ricky Hart Jr. got hit by that was the 8 car of Kevin Foster. And just like that, pretty much every GFR racing car was involved in one wreck. So for a team that is usually pretty well focused and does a pretty solid job of getting out of the way of big incidents, everybody unfortunately got caught in stuff. Although I will say, I was talking pre-race there about how Nick always does seem to get caught up in crazy incidents there early on, and then overcomes adversity to be in a good spot late. That's exactly what's happened once again today. So maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe those GFR guys, for whatever reason at the start of the race, just can't seem to stay out of harm's way, and then are just so good at working their way back through that they get those big wins, they get those big performances. Or if you're Christopher Hamilton, they get a top 5 pretty much every week.
Yeah, and this kind of goes back to what I was speaking to about some of these guys that are maybe getting a little bit frustrated that they're not having the performances they want. All right, you just got into a wreck. Let's settle in. Let's get the car fixed up. Let's just bounce back into the top 10 and see where it takes us from there. It's just time to take a collective deep breath and just focus forward here. That's all you can do right now, right? I mean, the car's wrecked. Get it fixed. Get back out there and drive your way to the front. You can't get too upset about where you're at right now. So I expect all those guys to be up here towards the end of the race. It's going to take them some time. Yeah, they're fast, but getting through traffic here is pretty difficult at times. So we'll see what they got. But, we were talking about race memories from this track. I think, right before Jimmy Johnson retired, I think he lost a gear on a restart, and it caused a wreck very similar to that. So that's what Dover's about. I mean, anything can happen anywhere, and there's just nowhere to go. The racing line is so small. So as we get back to going green here, let's see what these guys got with Cody Welch now on the outside of the 04 car.
He is indeed, and as we always seem to have, but especially tonight, really good fan turnout here for Cody Welch. As always, 85 car's got guys watching him, and he is on the front row now as a result of that big wreck. Same with the 15, same with the 5. Lots of beneficiaries of that crash. Here we go. 04 car, Brett Guzik going to lead the field this time from the inside once again, and that is about as dominant of a start as you will see. The 04 car, that next chapter outdoors entry, is flying tonight on the restarts. Already 5, now 6 tenths clear of second.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal restart by that 04 car. I don't know if the 85 car was quite ready for that restart, but nonetheless, still sitting here in second as he's getting pressure from the 5 car of Benny Hogan.
Benny Hogan, good start to the race for him overall. Qualified 12th, now up to 3rd. Flying right now, putting pressure into turn number 1. Late on the brakes and the car seemed to stick. Really good speed there right now for the 5 car. He had the fastest top speed of anybody last time by. So that 5 car there has always been pretty good at these 1 mile, mile and a half length tracks. And don't want him to fly under the radar too much tonight, as he is going to push everything he's worth to get by a seemingly kind of sluggish 85 car here. Although, to be fair, fastest lap of the race was just run by Brett Guzik at 22.32. The lap for Cody Welch at 22.64. Nobody's seeming to be in the same stratosphere as Guzik in terms of pace right now.
Yeah, and as much as Brett probably wants to go out there and stretch this lead as much as he can, I don't think that right now is the time for that. We've seen that we've had yellows pop up here and there, and while you can stretch the lead and really put yourself in a good spot towards the end of the race, I would try to save these tires. Brett's really good at that. Keep that second buffer between you and second place and just kind of coast around. So I'm going to be looking for him to do that, maybe not stretch this thing out as far as he could, and just kind of save these tires. And hopefully with the yellows, he can just keep that car up front.
It's a big save there for Jason Greenwell, who's wicked loose right now. That 83 car trying to gather it up as best he possibly can. Michael Ramos there also getting loose. He's going to drop back 1 spot, still up 11 spots, but drops back to the outside of the top 10. And I think we may have, the yellow flag has just come out. I was going to say everybody kind of slowing down, and my telemetry there just popping up. Tyler Rowland again going to get caught in a wreck. His second big one of the race. 18 car, significant front bumper damage. Going to go to the Butt Kicker Racing replay, see what has brought out that caution. And it was the 08 car getting into David Lakey. Those two guys off the turns number 3 and 4 both got a little bit loose, caught the outside wall, and bang, one into the other. Tyler Rowland gets caught, and there you go. 3 more names there towards the back of the field getting caught in wreck number 4. It's kind of a miracle the 84 and the 08 didn't go over there. Both guys kind of popped up on their left 2 tires and looked like they may flip, but both managed to keep it on the ground. And I think in the case of Tyler Rowland, that may be for the best, because I don't believe he has any quick repairs remaining. He may have to take just traditional damage repair, which is both going to take longer and going to repair less, as we see a couple more guys once again down pit road, including Benjamin Lacey once again. And this has kind of been the story of the season here for Benjamin Lacey. Similar to Nick and the GFR guys, they seem to get caught in stuff early and recover. Benjamin just seems to get caught in stuff mid-race and then just not have the opportunity to really get those points back. He's currently sitting 15th in the points of the season. Not bad, not terrible certainly, but for a guy that won 4 races last season in the first, I think, 15 events, guy just hasn't earned the points that I think he deserves for his talent or the quality of drives he's had this year. He's run great. He has pace. We know he has this car figured out to a good extent, just cannot seem to get the luck when he needs it and keep himself out of those incidents. And as a result, he's another one of those guys like a Brett Guzik sitting in 10th in the points that just, I don't think the results necessarily back up how quick they've been this year. And it's happening again tonight for Lacey. Hopefully he can recover.
Yeah, I'd certainly say so. I think of a string of bad luck here for the 7 car. Things just not really going his way right now. He's definitely shown the speed pretty much everywhere we've went. He's been up front and contending. Just something goes wrong for him. I'm almost wondering if he didn't opt to use his fast repair and he's trying to just chip away at the damage on his car, because it didn't seem too bad from that initial wreck. And just kind of trying to nurse it until he can get it fully fixed and put that fast repair in the bank for later on. But yeah, it's an interesting strategy. You know, I know Nick probably used his, and he's like, all right, let's get back to the front. Benjamin, maybe with some of his bad luck in the back of his mind, is going to try to be a little bit conservative here and kind of chip away at it and just try to stay in this until the end.
Good drive so far here for Jackson Knock, who currently sits up here in 6th. We kind of flash quickly back to a really good battle between he and Paul Wilson for 7th there on that last stint, and unfortunately it was cut short there by that caution. But Knocker, another really good performance for him. He's actually top 10 in points when last I checked. He's having a really good year there, like a lot of those young guns guys are. Really solid seasons. Mark Allen Bivens once again racking up those fairly good points week after week. Joshua McQuiggan, who's hasn't run the full calendar at this point in the season, so thus is missing quite a few points to some of his contemporaries, but currently sits in 7th here. Not bad, up from just outside the top 10 in qualifying, and just a really good race for a couple guys, as well as Michael Ramos here. He's moved into the top 10. So every week this season, Chris, we kind of have a few names that pop up that have good runs and rack up good points, and that's what I love about this season, because there feels like a less clear hierarchy of guys that are this quick this given week at like every racetrack, and then there's kind of a next tier that will make their way into the top 5 occasionally. Usually top 10, top 15 is kind of where you're looking at them, and then the rest of the field that can on their week do quite well at tracks they specialize in, but generally speaking more in the teens and the 20s. This season we haven't really had that. Everybody has been on their game. Some guys seem to get better practice some weeks. Some guys seem to have better pace at certain tracks other weeks. But we're having a ton more variety in the top 5 and top 10. And it's been a lot of fun to watch. I think it's made this season a little bit dynamic. Would you agree?
Yeah, I couldn't agree anymore. I think that there's been a lot of new names in the top 5 and top 10, and just up front in general. It makes the racing very exciting to watch. I know the fans love to watch it because they're seeing their names running up front. So I think that this car is a great equalizer. It's bringing everybody a little bit closer together on the track, as NASCAR designed to do in real life. But nonetheless, I mean, it is making for some really great and exciting, nice close racing, and it's making for some exciting finishes. But as we're getting ready to go green here again, I do want to touch on the 85 car is back on the outside. I think he got caught sleeping a little bit on that last restart, so I think that he might have something for the 04 car on this one. And I know he's going to want to apply the pressure here a little bit to Brett, so let's see what he can do.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go with the gyro camera on board with Cody Welch here on this restart. Should get a pretty good little view here. So here he is on the outside row. You see Brett Guzik. You're going to see the 04 car jump out a little bit on his inside. And power down. You see the 04 car jumps. Cody gets on the gas, and he is off. Green flag. And you can see another car peeking on the inside because Benny Hogan gets all the way underneath there on the restart. The 5 car was ready. The 85 car, once again, just could not get that traction. And just like that, Welch going to lose a free spot there to Benny Hogan right off the gun.
Yeah, that top lane looks like it's struggling tonight for the restarts. I don't know if it's hard to just see the leader or tell when the leader's going, but these cars seem to be a little bit harder to get going on that top side, as the 51 car looks like, oh, not quite. I thought he was going to tuck his nose inside the 85 car there real quick, but he's going to settle in and just ride behind the 85 car for right now.
Yeah, going to be close. I think the 51 car we always talk about knows what it takes to get guys, get past guys. It's an aggressive guy as far as offensively, has quite a big wheelhouse, quite a big bag you can pull from to try to make moves happen. So the 51 car, not a guy you want to see right behind you trying to make a move. Joshua McQuiggan there in 7th. We saw a good little battle between him and Jackson Knock. Great angle again here off of turn number 2. You see guys flying by the camera. And it just the speed, the immense power these cars have, especially on new tires. Now 50 laps in this time by. We're getting towards halfway here at Dover. And so far, Brett Guzik been the dominant car all race, but this time, especially opposed to last run, not breaking away quite so much. He was a full 1.5 seconds almost clear by this point in the last stint. Right now, only 0.2 ahead of the 5 car.
And in the 5 car, this is a really great run for him. He's another guy that's had a little bit of bad luck as of late, but he's definitely had the performances, in the past in Bandit Racing League, but this season he's been up front in a number of races. He just hasn't quite been able to put it all together, but he's really applying pressure to the 04 car right now. Let's see if he can keep that up.
Cody Welch now is starting to put the burners back on. He's broken away a little bit from Curtis Yancey and is now charging back towards Benny Hogan. And that seemed to be the story of the race so far for Cody Welch. He's struggled a little bit on these restarts, mostly because he's been in the outside lane primarily. But once he really gets in the rhythm and gets back in the groove, he runs really good lap times. And there's clearly a lot of pace there in the 85 car. But the question is, Chris, can anybody consistently make pace? Can they find a way by Brett, whether in the pits, on strategy, or on track? And then how can they hold it? We haven't really seen Brett have to go on the offensive at this point yet. Granted, we are only 55 or 53 laps now into an 125 lap race, but I think there's a lot of questions left to be answered. And another question is, who's going to win this battle? Once again, McQuiggan and Knock. Looks like the 29 car Canadian's going to jump in front of Knock here once again off of turn number 2, but we'll see. Moments later, things could change. Here's the 00 car going to get in the outside wall a little bit. You saw a little bit of smoke coming off, and now Paul Wilson, who has been all over the place in terms of momentum, moving back forwards. He's going to get by Knock.
And look who's starting to creep in right in the back of that pack there, the 2-car of Nick Nickerson. He's already rebounded up to 10th position on the track. So is Ricky Hart. He's up in 11th. Benjamin Lacey's coming as well. He's in 15th right now. So these guys are rebounding pretty well. If these guys were thinking, their night's over and I have one less guy to contend with tonight, not so fast, because these guys are coming through the pack really fast.
Yeah, not a guy you want to have to think about if you can help it. If you can get the 2-car out of the race effectively to not potentially challenge your chances at a win, well, then your odds go up significantly, because that 2-car is always there. And as we've proven in the past, I think 4 races now in the Bandit Racing League, is always in the equation with 2 or 3 laps to go. And today at Dover, again, I would not be surprised at all if we get a green-white checkered finish towards the end. So definitely a name that you don't want in the equation if you can at all help it.
And one thing I'm starting to notice from the 04 car is through turns 1 and 2, he's taken 1 car lane up from the bottom, and then the second half of the corner, he's towards the bottom of the corner. He's right against the apron. So that seems to be working the best. I haven't seen anybody able to work the corner quite like him all night, and I really like how that's working for him, because that's where he's making up all of his time is corners 1 and 2. So I'm wondering if someone else can pick up on that as the 85 car goes to the inside of the 5. 51's thinking about sending it in there with him. I think just because he's going to be washed up on the outside of the track, the 51 car is going to take that momentum away from him, and he's going to head right by. Oh, he got a little tight there.
Yeah, got tight, and then got extremely loose there. Had to make a big correction here off the exit of the corner, but does gather it back up. The 85 car, though, is gone and is going to get the move done. So now is the question here. Cody's got an opportunity to make up ground, to just push the car, don't have to worry about a guy in front of him. Was 2.5 tenths slower than Brett last time by, though obviously did have to make the pass. We'll see how he runs this lap. Going to be a 22.3 for Brett. Going to be a 22.5 for Cody. So still 2 tenths off. He's going to need to put the pedal to the metal here, put the foot to the floor, and start creeping his way back up there. But not bad overall so far for Cody Welch here at the start of this. And he was faster there last time by, so starting to make good pace here is the 85 car.
One thing I will say, I'm not going to say anything about Cody. I'm not going to do it. All I'm going to say is if anybody is on the Wi-Fi at his house right now, get off of it. I don't want any internet connection issues for this guy. Let this guy race. I want to see this guy perform well, whether he's able to come away with a win or just a nice solid top 5. He needs that. He needs that momentum. He deserves it. So let's see what he can do as he's starting to chip away at this lead of the 04 car.
Yeah, here we go. Cody Welch once again going to be faster last time by. So really good looking laps here from Mr. Cody Welch. That's what we like to see. But Curtis Yancey now, who did get by Benny Hogan, who also got passed by Christopher Hamilton. That 5 car momentum starting to go the wrong way. Here comes Joshua McQuiggan. He is super wide coming through 3 and 4. The 5 car has something wrong or is just off the pace, generally speaking. Didn't see him brush the wall. Doesn't look like any damage there on that 5 car, but he's starting to move away from him now as he's still up 6 spots from where he qualified, but he's starting to move back towards the rear end of the field. And with guys hard charging like Nick and Ricky, it's not what you want to be doing at this current moment.
Yeah, Dover's one of those tracks where you can go out and lay down some heaters of laps, and you can probably do that for about 5 laps, and then you're going to have a really, really, really steep fall off in the tires. So I'm not sure if that's what Benny was doing. He was just not accustomed to being up front here at this point in this stage of the game. So just, put that in the notebook and just learn for later on. He knows he can run up front, but just, when to dial it back. But 3 cars that were wrapped up in that big wreck, just doing some housekeeping here. Ricky Hart, 9th. Nick Nickerson, 10th. Benjamin Lacey, now 11th. So all 3 of those guys have rebounded quite well. They're all roughly about 3 seconds or so off the lead. So we'll see how that all works out. But this 85 car is really managing this gap between the 04 car really well. I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of him. He's actually taking the higher line in 3 and 4, and he's carrying a lot of momentum down the front stretch. So it's just kind of the 04 car is better in one half of the track, the 85 car is better in another half of the track, and it's just kind of like a pendulum here that's swinging back and forth. It's getting better with each other. It's really interesting to watch. Yeah,
that's exactly right. Here we're going to see the lap time comparison here, lap after lap. We'll keep this up for you for a couple laps just to show you how Cody and Brett compare as for their pace on each and every lap. Going to come across the line again here. Let's see what Cody does. He's going to run in the 23 ninths. Sorry, wrong comparison here. We'll go Brett. Let's see what the gap is. So it was a little bit slower that last time for Welch. So you're exactly right here, Chris. It's going to be 1 lap it's Welch, the other lap it's Guzik, and I think that just comes down to they have their corner they seem to be doing well at and getting really good pace. For Cody, he seems to get really good runs here off of turns number 3 and 4. For Brett, really good in that first half of the lap from what I'm watching. But it's going to be interesting to see how guys again can evolve over the course of the run, can remain their focus so they're still running good laps times, but also being critical and thinking, okay, how can I improve? What's wrong with my pace right now? What's the guy behind me doing better? Because they're both on equal tires, the two guys. Speaking of tire situation, Nick Nickerson has dropped back a spot as Benjamin Lacey, fastest guy on track. Remember, he pitted on lap number 44 compared to 30 for the rest of the top drivers in the field. He is starting to come back through. He's running about 4 to 5 tenths faster each and every lap than the rest of the field right now, putting those newer tires, I should say, to good use.
Yeah, man on a mission there. I mean, he was really applying pressure to the 0-4 car right before that one of those cautions came out. So I know he wants to get back up here. All those guys are hungry. Everybody in this race is hungry to go out there and get a win. Even the guy that's leading the race. You know, he hasn't won yet. He's had some really bad luck to start this season. But that's that very beautiful paint scheme on that 0-4 car. I know this is probably a track that he wants to put that car in victory lane tonight. So let's see if he can do that. But one thing that I do want to say is if this does continue to go green, we traditionally see it here is the top two cars tend to try to push each other, push away from the pack, and what they end up doing is just burning up their stuff. And the guys in 3rd, 4th, and 5th are just kind of cruising around, just kind of maintaining, and then they're the guys that end up in the catbird seat towards the end of this thing. So these guys have to keep that in the back of their mind there, that they don't burn up their stuff as they're battling here. And don't give someone else an opportunity because they're battling each other too hard. So Dover's a really interesting race. I know that we're going to probably be getting close to pit stops here. So it'll be interesting to see how green flag pit stops work for these guys as, you know, they're hustling around this track. And like I said, the pit road speed here is very slow. So we can see a lot of pit road speeding penalties here tonight as well.
I'm curious here, Chris, of the guys who are on, who pitted on lap number 30, so who are now sitting on 42 lap old tires, who do you think is running the fastest laps of anybody in that group?
If I had to bet on it, Brett and Clean Air is probably running some of the fastest laps, but I think that you kind of maybe gave me the secret to that earlier with the 7 car running some pretty fast laps. So I don't know if I cheated there on that one.
Well, of guys who, he's the fastest on track, I will say, obviously running on newer tires. He's one of 2 guys who pitted on that for 44. But fastest guys on the traditional strategy, Josh McQuiggan, actually, who just moved up to 4th, who just got by Paul Wilson. That 29 car is on a mission. He has been fastest pretty much every lap except the last one for about 10 laps. And that's, again, on that 42-lap old set of tires. He's moving through the field pretty consistently. And you were talking about guys that maybe in the catbird seat, in a position to attack, who are conserving quite well. That 29 car, kind of under the radar, but doing a great job of just that. 29 car, Joshua McQuiggan, shout out there. And actually runner-up after that, again, guys that are pitting more recently. He and Paul Wilson, both faster than Guzik, Welch, and Yancey in the top 3.
Yeah, I hate to discredit them and not include them in the conversation, but, you know, all of these guys have really run really well this season. I know that we've had maybe 1 or 2 post-race interviews with Josh McQuiggan this season. So he's definitely shown the speed everywhere we go. So I mean, I hope that he can keep that pace up and kind of chip away at this thing. Like I said, I think we're coming to green flag stops here pretty soon. So if you can keep that kind of pace up and kind of chip away at this lead here, once the green flag stop cycles, I think he'll be in a pretty good position.
Keeping an eye out here for a couple guys we can maybe show on Skype. Nick Nickerson. We'll go back to him in a little bit, but I'm just watching him here on the Skype camera. His hands are moving like crazy. He's looking stressed each and every corner, and that doesn't appear to have damage on that race car that I can tell. Like, doesn't appear to have anything that should be causing him extra strife or extra struggles. But man, he is really having to hustle that thing, and really that momentum is stalled here, Chris. He's currently battling with Eddie Hagee here for 9th, so he's still in the equation. But man, just cannot seem to get that forward momentum he had earlier. I don't know what it is, but starting to see struggles from the 2 car.
Yeah, it's very strange when you look at the guys that were kind of in the same situation as him. Ricky Hart, Benjamin Lacey, who had actually pinned it a second time, but most notably Ricky Hart. I'm pretty sure they restarted side by side back in the later teens there. But Ricky is sitting in 6th right now, and Nick got all the way up to 10th, and he's kind of stalled out there. So I'm not really sure what's going on with his car and what kind of feedback he's getting, but certainly not feeling the way he wants it to right now.
Watching here on board with Christopher Hamilton here, you see the Skype camera as well. Something different today, not actually running in VR as he usually does with the iconic googly eyes headset, is instead on the traditional setup, and he is looking all over the back bumper of Joshua McQuiggan, who's dropped back a couple spots, lost his spot to both Ricky Hart Jr. here and Paul Wilson, who's moved back up into fourth. What a crazy race for Paul Wilson. Just want to note, as Lacey is also seemingly kind of stalled out a little bit too. Now he's stuck behind Hamilton, a guy who was on much older tires. So I don't know what it is here, Chris. We saw it from both Nick and Benjamin. Like, those new tires will help for a bit, and then suddenly the pace just seems to stall out, and the guys who have been conserving pretty well, who've been taking it easy on those older tires, still find a way to make good lap times.
Yeah, it's. I think that's just Dover. You know, it's, you can go out there and knock out some flyers, and then your tire's going to kick right back up to you. So it's a really tough balance that you kind of got to play back and forth with. You kind of got to know, all right, is it time to go and push it here a little bit? I'm going to pay for it on the back end. So you got to keep that in the back of your mind constantly. I know these veteran guys are probably like really frustrated that they're in this situation where they have to kind of drive through the field. So yeah, it's just such a tough game to play here, and especially at a track like this.
Couple drivers have started making their first set of final pit stops of the day. We've got about 45 laps here, and now we're seeing the leaders. Here comes Brett Guzik, here comes Cody Welch down pit road, and as well as Curtis Yancey and Joshua McQuiggan. So these front runner guys, this is going to be huge. The pit cycle, always a question mark here at any track, but especially Dover with how slow you run. Where these guys come out is going to be fascinating. Will the undercut be better? Will the overcut be better? Will Paul Wilson lead that second group down pit road this time? Looks like he is coming down this time. Ricky Hart Jr. going to stay out, try to make up a little bit of time there, maybe potentially go back-to-back here on wins in the last 2 weeks. And that says all you need to know here. Seeing these guys are still on pit road, and Paul Wilson and the rest of the guys who are a lap back are only just now entering pit road. It is a quick lap in a long time on pit lane. Here we go. Good pit stop for Curtis Yancey. He comes out close. It's going to be Brett, going to be Cody, but Curtis not too far back. That top three separated by barely anything at all, but Nolan Gross here in the middle of these cars is going to hold up Cody Welch a little bit as he gets off pit road, and Cody has kept the gap at about the exact same, but the O2 car is going to move down and let the 85 car by. But here comes a hard-charging Matt Crockett here on new warmer tires. Crazy as guys start cycling back out here. Wouldn't be surprised to see a caution.
Yeah, one thing that you are definitely keeping in your mind when you come to pit road at Dover is you can get caught multiple laps down, similar to like a Bristol. The leaders are still going by at a very fast pace. You want to come in and get those new tires and try to do that undercut, but it is such a scary thing to do with how much you have to slow down getting to pit road. It looks like most of the field has cycled through and done the green flag pit stop, but we still need to let these leaders cycle out and get on the lead lap and get everybody back to where they were. But for those first couple laps of being back on track, not only are you worrying about how the car is performing and getting those tires up to temp, you're trying to hustle that car as fast as you can to make sure you're on the lead lap.
So here comes Brett Guzik here through turns number 3 and 4. He's coming off the final turn, and Benjamin Lacey going to be the final driver here down pit road from that lead group. And you can see he was still on pit road there as we went by. So looks like this is going to be it. Benjamin, that alternative strategy, he just exited pit road now. He's going to be on a little bit fresher tires, may work his way back up into the top 5 if we stay green at the end. But I think this is going to be your battle. This is your 3-horse race for the win here at Dover. I think it's going to be Brett Guzik, Cody Welch, and Curtis Yancey, your top 3 here. And the 51 car has been under the radar, not just this race, but kind of all season. But that 51 car is running really, really great laps. And I think another guy that's going to put in the work, as he always does into this series, and may come to fruition in that gap here. Chris, it's getting smaller and smaller. The question is, are Cody and Curtis burning their step up too fast, or are they just finally figuring this out and maybe able to go challenge your leader here in these last, now 37 laps?
If I'm one of these guys and I see Brett this close, you're going to just do it instinctively. You're going to try and get to him as fast as you can and try to put him behind you and have him work to get around you. You know, it's so tough to consistently run behind a guy all night, and when you finally are close to him on a good set of tires, to not try to push it. So as it gets closer and closer, I don't know if they're going to pay for this on the back end. As the 51 car is really starting to apply pressure on the 85, that's the best thing that Brett wants to see in his rearview mirror. Yeah,
it's exactly right. I think Cody, if you're him right now, you're kind of going like, oh, come on, man. Like, let's let's get by this guy. He's been so dominant clearly this entire race. You got to think both guys going to be at least a little bit worried about the pace that 04 car has. So with how close they are, just settle in, try to attack, and chill a little bit would be my, if it were me. But obviously, I'm not in the race car, and I think they may feel very differently because you want any spot you can, any track position you can muster here in the Bandit Racing League. Really good suggestion here. Well, if we have a moment to do it, we will check it out here from Dawson, but to maybe compare the onboards, the driving style, and the wheel movements of each driver, and see the way they're racing potentially to try to infer how they burn up tires. So we will check that out in a bit if we have time. The gap has started to open up back again a little bit, hardly a tenth this lap, but Cody Welch, the first lap, he's been slower in the last 5 compared to Brett Guzing.
One thing I do want to note is that the struggling Nick Nickerson before the pit stop was sitting in P10 is now in P5. He jumped 5 positions on that restart, or on that green flag cycle there. So kudos to him. He certainly has something figured out on pit road. I don't know what it is. He's always making up time on pit road, so he has something worked out there that works out very well for him. But another thing that's going to start to play a factor here is lap traffic. This is something that these guys haven't had to really do all night. So as long as we stay green here, these guys are not only going to have to battle themselves, but they're going to have to battle the other cars that they're trying to put a lap down in front of them.
You know, it's not as niche as I'd usually be looking for, but this week's reference is going to be to, of course, the hit classic Pixar film Cars, a favorite of any racing fan. This really does feel like, as you see Curtis Yancey going to drive it down, going to dive into 3, gets it done on the inside on Cody Welch, and is going to move up into 2nd, the 85 car. Maybe he was thinking about a move for the lead. Now he's going to have to think about a move just to get back up to the catbird seat. As I was about to make the comparison there to the 3 main cars from the film Cars in that scene in the first race where they're all bumper to bumper, basically the entire event. And there's one guy who always finishes 2nd and can't win. And there's one guy who is a lot of pedigree, former champion. And there's one hungry younger guy who really wants to win. And I think you can make a lot of comparisons to what we're seeing right now with those 3 characters in that style exactly. And now again, the hotshot young rookie or younger driver of sorts, Mr. Curtis Yancey, is moving his way through the field. He's up into 2nd and is looking for his first win this season. His first win in a little bit. I think he had one last season, but not necessarily a drought for the 51, but it's been a little while since we've seen that car in victory lane. He'd like to be there tonight, I'm sure, as they pass Markel and Bivens.
You know, your comparisons and your references are unmatched. I think I say that every week, but that was really good. You know, I can see where you were going with that. But yeah, the 51 car makes it look easy getting past the 85. I kind of wonder if the 85 let him by to see if the 51 can try to apply pressure to Brett, and then the 85 can work its way back, as the 85 looks to the inside of the 51. So maybe my theory wasn't quite right. But again, the 04 car is going to be loving seeing this in his rear view, having these guys swap positions back and forth, because they're using their stuff up to pass each other and not using their stuff up to pass him.
I think maybe your theory was right there, Brett, about Brett and the other 2 guys here, Chris. But yeah, I think if anything, Cody was going, okay, we were going to give this a shot. It was a nice pass. It was a nice move. But I'm not sitting around. This is the closest I've been in a long time this late in the race to breaking that streak. I saw Ricky do it 2 weeks ago. I'm going out there. I'm doing this myself, and he's already started to open that gap up to Curtis. I think the 85 car is kicking it in a high gear. He's putting the pedal to the metal. And I know these guys all want these wins bad. They all want these good finishes and these good performances. What do you think he's willing to do here, Chris? What do you think Cody's willing to do with 25 laps left? We remember back to that famous finish here in the series at Texas where Ricky Hart Jr. on the final corner put the bumper to the back of Cody Welch, spun him out, got the last win that then 40 races later culminated in his finish last week as Cody's internet briefly flickers. I had a small heart attack there. But, yeah, you got to wonder, is he willing to do something similar? If he gets up there like he had the opportunity to do a few laps ago and just drives it in there in a corner, sends it underneath and wrecks Brett for the win, is he going to be content with that? And does he care?
Do I think he cares at this stage? I don't think he cares. And if I was him, I would feel the same way. Do I think the other drivers would care? If he can do it and win the race, I think that if they're going to let anybody get away with it, it's going to be Cody. If he does it and takes them both out, they're going to be upset.
Yeah, I would agree. I wouldn't at all be surprised, genuinely, if you're a Curtis Yancey fan or even to a lesser extent a Ricky Hart Jr. fan. You want to see him go back-to-back. I don't think you can write that out of the equation yet, because we're here with 23 laps to go this time by. I think there's every chance in the world. There is a little moment here up front as the gap has been about the same. Cody's keeping it about 3/10, 4/10, so not a ton of progress. But when you're 3/10 behind a guy here, Chris, one good lap or one bad lap can put you either right next to or ahead of the guy you're driving next to, or behind him in the case of Cody, if he gets swallowed up here once again by Curtis Yancey. But further back in the field, Nick and a couple guys here, Nick and particularly Benjamin Lacey, duking it out there for the final spot in the top 5. This is a fun little battle that I would have thought the start of the race would be for the lead, but based on the way this race has gone, it's going to be for 5th in the late stages.
Yeah, I mean, they've rebounded really well. I will say that. They've had to drive through the entire field, basically. But nonetheless, I mean, if you're Benjamin Lacey, coming home with the top 5 is something that I wouldn't be too upset about. You know, he's had a couple bad breaks as of late, as we've covered very well at this point. But yeah, coming home with the top 5 would be a really solid finish. You know, I would be upset because I think if I'm him, I'm saying I was probably one of the fastest cars on the track tonight. Just luck didn't really go his way, but nonetheless, coming home with the top 5 would be really, really good. I've seen the 04 car kind of stretch it out on the 85 here, but coming up on some more lap traffic, let's see how he can get through that.
Seeing the gap there opening up a little bit. Nick starting to drop back from Benjamin Lacey. Looks like the 7 car just kicking it up into a bit of a different gear. So, yeah, this is going to be the interesting thing to watch. How can Brett navigate lap traffic? And, oh, we got a yellow flag here, so that's going to shake things up a little bit.
Oh, boy.
Benny Hogan getting into it with Jason Greenwell, and the 5 car, who was already starting to slip back. A really great start, was starting to go belly up. Unfortunately, it kind of crescendos here as he gets involved in this wreck with Jason Greenwell. So 5 car faster on newer tires, off turn number 4. Whoa, crazy camera angle. So we're going to need to look at that one again, but that gives you an idea just how fast those 2 guys made contact. But here we go, one more time, off of turn number 4. Here we come. Oh, Greenwell just got loose and slid down into him. Kind of closed the door there, not intentionally, but the 83 car, a little bit of a mistake, and catches the 5 car out there, unfortunately. So not the way this race was meant to go for Benny Hogan at all, but here we go, folks. Things getting fun. A little bit of contact even, I think, on pit road. Looked like the 85 of Cody Welch had to check up real hard not to hit Brett Guzik. But it's final pit stop time here, folks, and I'm not surprised at all because the lap times fell off about 1.2, 1.3 seconds here in only the 25 laps we were racing under green. So guys need fresh tires, and Chris, we're going to have about a 15-lap dash to the finish on fresh tires here. Let's see who wins the race off pit road. This could be the pass for the win.
This could be, and I'm already asking myself, who's going to take the chance to take 2 tires?
Yeah.
If you need the track position, if you're Nick Nickerson and you're in 5th or 6th, you know, I might strap 2 on this car and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to go out on the point and I'm just going to try and hold it off. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work because I was going to finish in the top 5, top 10 anyways.
Close race! Oh my goodness. What a battle off pit road. I love that call there, Chris. I was actually thinking, I wonder if Nick gives it a shot. He actually lost spots on pit road, so I wonder if Ricky Hart Jr. just did it, because he jumped up a couple spots. He's now going to be minus Mark Allen Bivens, who did stay out and will be a race leader here on this next restart. He would be 4th provisionally on that traditional strategy, so he moved up a couple spots. Benjamin stays ahead of Nick. Not bad. Oh, I may be mistaken. I think you're right. Ricky actually was up in 4th position, so things stay pretty much the same, and Mark Allen Bivens going to come down pit road this time. So never mind. We're not going to have a similar Terry Condis situation to earlier. All the guys up front going to be on fresh tires. But new tires, the big thing you don't want to see here if you're a Cody Welch fan is something we've seen proven time and time again tonight. That outside the line tonight just sucks on restarts, and he's going to be the one to have to take it.
Yeah, you certainly don't. You don't need a bad restart right now because you're going to get swallowed up. And I think this is a fitting time to say it, but let's just remind everybody at home that cautions do in fact breed cautions. And if Evan Wall was here, he would be screaming that right now. I know he would, because we're going to ramp up the pressure times 1,000 right now. It's about to get really exciting. A 15-lap dash at the finish. Everybody's on equal tires. Everybody can see the leader. This is going to make things really exciting.
Well, but because we're about to get into, I think, the final sort of chapter here of excitement, we're going to very quickly talk about a couple things just to not kind of interrupt the flow later. First of all, want to shout out the Bandit Racing League website. As always, banditracingleague.com, your place for all things Bandit Racing League, just in every facet of the series. If you want to check out our week-to-week Sim Racer Hub page that shows you all of our live results and our our winners and our point standings and everything even before they come up on the broadcast. If you want to link to our Geezer Authentics merch store, that's where you go. You want our driver information page where you see all of drivers' information, past races, past success, and everything under the sun like that. Again, our championship points. If you want links to our sponsors such as Apex Sim Racing, your place for all things quality sim racing apparel and accessories, that is your place to go for that. And just generally speaking, the BanditRacingLeague.com website is your place to check out everything as well as our social media. So no excuse if you're a Bandit Racing League fan not to always be checking that website, as well as GeezerAuthentics.com. Geezer Authentics is your place for all things Bandit Racing League merchandise. And remember, all proceeds, which all items at the Bandit Racing League shop are really good prices here, $31 Canadian, about somewhat above 37, 38 American, just for context, as you see on screen, but really good prices for a lot of the products there. We see stuff like mugs, pants, hats, including that really cool new BRL logo, and all purchases go back into the Bandit Racing League Driver Points Fund at the end of the season, where we give some money back to some drivers for their final results in the championship and reward them for the hard work they do. So it's always a pleasure to... Oh, sorry, you got the music a little bit loud there. Sorry, folks. It's always a pleasure to shout out GeezerAuthentics.com. Again, your place for all things BanditRacingLeague.com, because it helps us here on our side, and it gives you some great stuff to support the series and to wear on your own and support your favorite drivers like Welch, Foster, Guzik, anybody you can think of. Here we go, folks. Next chapter outdoors 125. We got 15 to go here at Dover. Fan favorite up front alongside Brett Guzik. Things get interesting. Green flag here in the 04 car, off to a good start, and the 85 car is going to get the jump properly enough to move up into second.
What a great time to have a good restart of that top line from that 85. He really put the pedal to the metal there, and he's made that second spot secured for him. But oh man, you know who's winning this race tonight? This is my final race prediction: the pace car. I'm not jinxing any of these guys because everybody has a great storyline up here that's in contention to win this race. So I want to see them all win it tonight, but man, this is shaping up to be a good one.
They really do, and that's what I'm most happy about. Great storylines tonight. No matter who wins tonight is going to have a great narrative to get them here. And Connor Gibson, you see getting to the outside wall. Guy currently sitting in 5th in the points, back up in the top 10, in for a good points night tonight if he can just get it through these final 14 laps, take himself to the finish. And I think he'd make a great call, and the fact that pace car very well could win is likely because we've seen cautions and races the last couple races in the Bandit Racing League, and wouldn't be surprised if we see it again tonight, the way cautions bring cautions and how hard we're racing. We have a new fastest lap of the race here, Chris. Curtis Yancey sitting in 3rd, just ran a 22.3 second flat. That would have been a competitive lap in qualifying, let alone up here in the race.
Yeah, this top 3 is pushing it right now. All 3 of these cars up front hanging it out as they're exiting the corner. As you see the 85 get ever so closer, exiting the corner. He's getting good runs out of 1 and 2. You weren't seeing that earlier in the race, but let's see if he can put it all together and get a little bit closer to that back bumper to that 04 car.
Yeah, the 85 just kicked it into a different gear. You're exactly right here, Chris. He's fast in spots he wasn't earlier. And now all the way around the racetrack, he's quick. And I think Kurt is finding a way to emulate what Cody's doing right now. Although he's going a full half lane above here. And 1 and 2, getting that better run into turn number 3. But sacrificing his run in the first couple corners a little bit. I think the way Cody's doing it is going to be perfect offensively if he can just get to the bumper on Brett Guzik. It's going to be close here, folks. We're coming towards 10 laps to go here. This race, this final kind of chapter here, the next chapter, you could say, next chapter outdoors, has really come up quick here. 10 to go, and with about a half second each lap here, that's going to go by quick. 5 minutes or so left if we go green to the finish here at Dover.
I need to hear it in the chat. Who do you guys got tonight? I know we have a pretty good turnout tonight as well. We got some exciting racing here to the end. Hopefully it stays green, but throw it in the chat right now. Who you guys got winning tonight? I see a couple cars up front that are very hungry.
I think the hungriest car of all currently sitting in the second spot. But don't forget about Curtis Yancey or Ricky Hart, who's really started to join up here. Brett is parking the bus on this entire top 5. Everybody's seemingly finding ways to catch up now. So if one big wreck happens,
got a yellow.
We do have a yellow, and that was perfect timing for Cody Welch, who just started to have Curtis Yancey peeking underneath him here out of turn number 3. But yeah, Jackson Knock there is going to bring out let's check here. I didn't get the number there, but it is another caution here, and Benny Hogan and the 00 car getting into each other almost saved it, actually. I thought the 00 could maybe get the back quarter panel off the wall and kind of save himself, but no, he is going to make contact with Mr. Benny Hogan, and that will bring out another caution here that, again, I think is going to lead us to a 4, maybe 5 lap dash to the finish here.
Man, that was really ramping up there. I was getting excited.
Yeah.
I was out of my seat.
Yeah, I like the restart there from Cody, but don't you kind of feel here, Chris, like there's about a 2 or 3 lap kind of buffer as a guy trying to chase down Brett, where even if you look a little bit faster on track, it takes them a minute to kind of make up that gap that you get from a really good restart. And I'm kind of worried here if we do, or on lap 118, we'll probably go 3 laps under pace car, then the green flag. I'm gonna guess 4 laps to go when we go back racing, and if that's the case, I think about 2 laps maybe to catch up at the pace we were seeing before if Brett is indeed pushing all the way to the finish. And then it's just, can Cody get him in 2 laps? Like, where's the opportunity going to be? And again, is he going to have to put the bumper to him? I think all this does is just makes things a little bit more urgent. And I don't know if that's what Cody's looking for or if that's what Brett wants to play into. But whatever it is, I think it's going to change the dynamic from the pretty comfortable 3 guys up front sort of battle to the finish we were going to see earlier.
Yeah, I think you do got to build up some kind of momentum around this track. You know, there's a lot of on throttle time as much as you're off throttle in the corner. You have to really pick up the throttle really quick here to try to keep the momentum going down the straightaway and have that good straight line speed. So, what it's really going to come down to is Cody's got to be really aggressive on this restart if he wants to try and contend for this and be close to the 0-4 car at least at the end. Do I think that Cody will try to put a move on Brett? I think he's going to try and pass him cleanly at first. I think he'll give him a shot at that, and then after that, I think all bets are off. Cody's going to try and go for this win, and I know Brett probably expects that at this point. So there's a bunch of guys up here that are pretty hungry for a win. Even the 2 and the 1, they're going to be hungry for a win as well. That they're trying to set themselves apart, trying to get up there with Ashley Lyle for most wins of the season with 2. So. Yeah, everybody's hungry for a win, and this is where it all comes down to. Everybody's going to have their elbows real wide, and the bank is open. So come get those checks cashed. Let's see what they got.
I like the way you put that there. I feel like that is about the best way you could state it is, yeah, the opportunity's here. I think this season, I know there has been, not just in the Bandit Racing League, but a lot of controversy and discussion in the racing world around the idea of a win and you're in playoff format, and the idea that if you can just get 1 race win of the season, it kind of negates potentially a full year of inconsistency. But I think that is what we covet in racing. I think as much as we don't want to admit it, it is those top spots at the front that the guys care about more than anything. And everybody's I'm thinking about the big picture. I'm thinking about the long-term repercussions of each and every race, and that is what you want, and it's that championship mentality. But also, like, guys just want to win. You come here as a race car driver to win races, and I think making that most important of all in a championship designed around who can, in those clutch moments against the very best in the series, can find a way to beat out the rivals. That's what we want to see. So I think it's earned, and I think these guys that are talented but maybe this season haven't quite had the consistent results, well, then great. Then go out there and get this win and punch your ticket and do it that way. And if you're a guy like Benjamin Lacey who can somehow pull off a couple passes here in quick succession at the end and manage to get that first win of the season, would be a pretty good opportunity. And I'm sure would kind of keep his head at ease in a place where I'm sure mental health wise you don't want to be out of the playoff order with 3 or 4 races to go trying to make your way into the title fight. So. Here we go. Going to be 4 laps to go here on the restart. Once again, Guzik and Welch up front. Yancey and a potentially back-to-back race-winning Ricky Hart Jr. on row 2. Then Nickerson and McQuiggan, who've both shown a ton of pace here in row number 3. 4 laps to go here, guys. Again, one more time, let's get those shout-outs. Let's get those predictions here in the YouTube chat. We want to hear you guys, and I will mention them if we have a couple seconds here towards the end. But here we go. Brett in control of the field. How will Cody do in the restart? A good jump, an early jump from Brett. Cody should have time to get down. It's going to be close, though. Can he close the door? He does on Curtis. Not a bad jump. 2.5 tenths is the gap. He's got 4 laps to go track down Brett.
Not quite the gap that he wants. The 51. 51's going to go in the inside of the 85.
Curtis Yancey going to get him quickly. Ricky Hart Jr. trying to go with him. 85 car is going to have a long road to go. Can Curtis Yancey be the guy to capitalize on the last couple laps here? Can he be the one with the big move? Here comes Cody back at him. They can't be fighting this long. If they want to go get Brett, he's going to get the move back. Cody's been fast in 1 and 2. A wreck further back. Are we going to see a caution? Waiting on it. Nothing yet. We are going to keep going green here, folks. Cody Welch, the gap is opening up. Half a second now to Brett. One more lap before the caution can come out. If we get another flag here, folks, next flag ends the race. And Brett Guzik's gap is not getting smaller. That 04 car may just bring it home for next chapter. 2 more corners till the white flag.
It's everything you got right here. Even if you're the leader, you're absolutely pushing this car to the limit. Everything you got as Brett Guzik takes the white flag. Next flag ends the race.
White flag, courtesy of Apex Sim Racing. Here we go, folks. Just 4 more corners, 1 more mile to go for Brett Guzik. It's been a weird year for a lot of guys here in the Bandit Racing League, but Brett almost first and foremost among them. He sat 10th in points coming into tonight, but was one of the fastest in the series. Has his brother's sponsorship on the car, and off of turn number 4, the 04 car of Brett Guzik will conquer the Monster Mile and pick up the win, holding off Cody Welch and Curtis Yancey. The big 3 in tonight's race will be your podium, but it is Curtis Yancey and Cody Welch who lose the battle to the monster, and tonight that monster was Brett Guzik, your winner at Dover.
You gotta hate it for Cody there, but you know I do like to see a really good finish out of him and Curtis. I mean, everybody else battled. You know, the 1 car and the 2 car and the 7 all had to come back from that adversity early, but great battling to have those guys come back and contend for the win at the end there, and obviously a great storyline for Brett, again, his first win of the season, but that win's coming for that 85 car, I can promise you that. I know we say that every single week, but that was a good shot in the arm there for him, and hopefully he can build off this. But what a great performance out of the 04 car, dominated all night in a race that I know probably kind of meant a little bit more to him this season, so great performance out of that 04 car.
Yeah, truly incredible drive there for Brett Guzik. I think that was a level of domination we haven't seen so far this season here. Chris just pole sitter, led the start, led the middle, just never really seemed to lose touch except for that 1 random lap of Terry Condis. Guy led almost the entire race. So this was a performance I think that makes a statement that somebody this season really hasn't been able to make so much. I don't think we've seen any domination this much. Even the one race that was dominated by Nick Nickerson at Sonoma, Brett was the guy to kind of upset that order of things too. So a really good race, and again, I think making a statement's the word you want to use here with Brett Guzik tonight at Dover. Just what a performance. With that, I think we're going to, as he gets his victory donuts here, as he gets them done, I think we're going to go straight into your winner's interview here for Brett Guzik in tonight's Next Chapter Outdoors 125, and I think this is our first sponsor win of the season as well, so that's cool to see. Always nice when race sponsors and guys running the weekly sponsors paint scheme can get a good result, especially a good win. So there's all the shout outs in the broadcast booth, or in the YouTube chat, and Dawson Guzik especially cheering on Brett. Good to see. So here we go. Let's get his info here. Let's get ready for your first interview, and Brett's still burning the tires down. He is letting them hear it here at Dover. Let me just get your information here. Here we go. Race winner at Dover. Congratulations, Mr. Brett Guzik. We'll get him in the broadcast with your first interview of the night from the Pottstown, Pennsylvania native. Let's go find him here and pull him down. There's our man, Mr. Brett Guzik. Hello, Brett Guzik. It is Marshall and Chris up at the broadcast booth. Got a copy?
Yeah, I've got you guys.
Brett, race winner. Congratulations, my man. That was, we were just saying, about the most dominant drive we have seen so far in season number 11. I know Cody and Curtis were giving you trouble, but on that last restart, you just seemed to be in a whole different zip code. What was it about those final 4 laps that just clicked with you?
Just try not to make mistakes. You know, there in the middle of the race, you can kind of lull yourself a bit. You know, you can get a little complacent and, you know, make a mistake or get into the wall. And I just try not to do anything like that. Run, you know, 95% or so most of the race, and, you know, try to turn up the afterburners at the end a bit. So that's pretty much how we ran the race.
And you all the way through, it wasn't just the end of the race. You seem to have the class of the field there all throughout, always good on those longer runs, and didn't seem to have much issue with restarts and anything like that. Just is it a race you were kind of circling on your calendar the last few weeks when we had time off? Did you think you were going to show so much consistent pace this week that you were kind of the no doubt winner from even 50 laps into the race? Were you expecting that?
I didn't really know. I felt like, as far as all the cars at this track, I like this track quite a bit, but as far as all the cars, I would say this car doesn't suit me the best at this track. so I kind of like was hanging on a little bit compared to driving the other cars a bit. This car's just so fast around this track, or at least feels like it. And I ran a couple practice sessions with the guys, and I was like, well, if I can figure, if I can keep figuring out how to be quick around here, then I'll hopefully have a shot here and have this one in the bag. And that's kind of how it played out. And as long as I stayed in the lead and didn't get shuffled or something silly, that always happens every race, so we were fine.
It does, Brett. I think it goes under the radar, but you are quite an unlucky race leader. I gotta say, there always seems to be something that goes awry when you're just minding your own business. But today, no such trouble. It finally all worked out for you, and you get your first win of season number 11. It felt like it was coming there, and definitely we were talking about. There's a couple guys further down the points than maybe you'd expect, or maybe that they've the pace they've driven at this season. I think you were one of those guys. But tonight, you get back in the winners column, and you join the 5 winners we've had in the first 6 races. We've seen a ton of parity, and have you felt that through the first 6 races now in season number 11, it's been tougher for those top guys to get those race wins? And what's it feel like, especially knowing how tough it is to get one off your back and focus on the playoffs now?
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to not to worry about, the others. I felt like I've had pace at every track that we've gone to, and we're capable of winning at almost every single one of them. Maybe not Sonoma, but we still almost we still almost got there. But I feel like I can win at almost any track. At least now I'm pretty comfortable at everything, and going forward, I'm just taking it one race at a time, and putting in a decent effort on Tuesday night to understand what it takes to be the quickest.
I'll throw it to you here, Chris, if you got any questions for Brett.
Yeah, bro, just kind of take me through that final restart there. I know probably the pressure was kind of ramping up there. Just kind of take me through what was going through your head. The 85 car is pretty hungry for a win. Were you thinking he was going to move you? You have the 51 car back there. All these guys that are very hungry to get back to victory lane. What's your thought process as you're getting ready to take the green flag?
So we're kind of rolling into the restart zone, and it seemed like Dover, the restart, for the leader is the biggest advantage of almost any track that we go to. And it seemed like as long as I can hit the restart well and get a gap on those guys, that's pretty much 95% of the last 4 laps is just getting that 2 or 3 car length lead or whatever it ended up being at the end, and being able to just run laps by myself pretty much. And that's all it really took, was just the restart. That's what I focused on, and that's kind of what led us to the win there.
Amazing. Well, congratulations here, Brett, on what was an undoubtedly just incredible performance. Again, I was not expecting with how many guys like Dover that anybody, let alone yourself, is just going to come out here tonight and so flawlessly kind of run the table. So incredible job. I'm really, really impressed, and I'm glad to see the 04 car back in victory lane. It always feels like you're in the conversation, but great when guys that deserve it get that first win off their back. So you know what to do, and I think tonight's a special night as far as shoutouts go, because you were repping the race sponsor Next Chapter Outdoors for Dawson, and tonight you bring him home in victory lane. So any shoutouts, that or otherwise, now's your time.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank everybody watching tonight. I'd like to thank our race sponsor, Next Chapter Outdoors. It's a YouTube channel based out of Pennsylvania. It's run by my brother and my father. They're very into the outdoor world, and they want to broadcast that to the world and be able to represent everything it takes to be an outdoorsman, and some of the lifestyle that it brings. So I'd like to thank them, and just thank everybody at BC SimSport, and I'd like to thank you guys at Full Send Racing Network for putting this on every week.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Brett, for all the kind words. And yeah, again, really cool whenever sponsors can get repped here in the broadcast booth post races, the winners, and you've done so, especially for Dawson. It's got to feel special. So enjoy it, enjoy the week, enjoy the celebrations, and we will see you back next week at Atlanta to run it back and maybe try to be the first back-to-back winner this year.
Yeah, thanks you guys.
Awesome. Well, looks like Brett is going to go out there and run that thing out of gas and enjoy the rest of his victory celebration, and very well deserved. Again, just I'm blown away tonight, Chris, by just how great that performance and that finish was overall. Just very rare to see again anybody, and not just in season 11, but lately in the Bandit Racing League, be that dominant. And Brett did it. And if there's anybody that I believe could do it and lock it down, not make mistakes, it was the 04 car. So I shouldn't say I'm entirely surprised. But here we go. Your second place interview now with a guy that I know a lot of people wanted to see as the first interview of the night. A lot of guys wanted to see him break that streak, but he's known for coming pretty close, and tonight he did so again with a great drive that he should not be disappointed in at all. It's Mr. Cody Welch. I'll bring him in the broadcast booth here for your second interview of the race. Here he comes. Hey, Cody Welch. It is... Oh. Here he comes. Hey, Cody Welch. It is Marshall and Chris in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I got you, sir.
Hello, Cody. What a race. What a drive. Came so darn close. You, Curtis, and Brett put on a show in the end there, coming up just short in those last few laps. I know that caution there further back in the field really put the downer on your hopes there for the win at the end, only having 4 laps to do so. Did you think you had any chance there from that outside line on the restart to make your way back up there, or did you think with 4 to go it was kind of a foregone conclusion you were coming second or third?
Yeah, at that point, 4 to go on that last restart. I burned my tires up the restart before that, trying to get around Brett. Just so hard to pass here, and Brett was obviously fast. So by that point, I was like, you know what? If I get second, cool. Hell, even third, I'll take it at this point. So
yeah, it was heartbreaking to see just the way it that worked out. I think it had that green flag sort of stint to the end gone. It was going to be close, and especially because you always seem to have more pace. We were talking about maybe 10 laps in, Brett would run well, but then you just kick it into another gear and you'd track him down, and especially that second to last stint, you and Curtis were right on the back bumper. Did you feel like you were making up that gap to Brett on pace over the course of the race, and maybe had that last green flag stint gone any longer, you might have had a shot at the win there?
yeah, maybe. I noticed it looked like he loaded up a little bit, trying to conserve tires on that, that green flag stop there. So I think that's why I caught him so quickly, but I was just going to stay behind him and just kind of ride his pace and maybe save a little bit more tire than him and make a run at the end. But the last couple cautions came out, kind of ruined that plan. But I mean, overall, just, happy to play second, happy to be able to run with Brett. He's one of the fastest guys in the league, as we all know. And to be able to keep pace with him and not making mistakes for once in a race that's a win for me.
Yeah, I think overall there was definitely a win in this car. Again, as there often seems to be at tracks like this, and it's the pace has been there all year. I think there was again some really bad luck here these last couple weeks back at Kansas, and just in general things always seem to go short. But today I think you had the chance, and had things worked out a little bit differently, you would have had it again. But the question is always, I don't mean to go to the well too often, and I hate it when interviewers ask questions about mindset or approach, but really just. What's the morale at here at this point in the season for the 85 car? Because you're in a pretty good spot in points. You're making your way through. You're earning those good results. I think if you continue to do what you're doing pretty consistently, you're more than likely making the playoffs, win or not. But where are you at? How are you feeling week to week? Is there more stress right now? Is there more kind of cool and collected? And what mindset do you think it's going to take to get that win and that streak like Ricky did last week?
Yeah, so I mean, this finish here is definitely a confidence booster for me. I felt off pretty much the whole beginning of this season. Tough to figure out this new car. I haven't really raced this car a whole lot in my iRacing career, so trying to learn how to run this thing up front with these guys. And over the off season, I completely redid my simulator. Everything's new, everything's different. So I'm still kind of working out the bugs and the kinks and getting a feel for it. But I think everything now is starting to come together, starting to click, and it's going to be a matter of just, putting my head down and grinding it out every week, putting in the time, practicing, and, going from there. But I think this finish here was, like I said, definitely a confidence booster, and looking forward to building on from here.
Awesome. I'll leave it to my co-host, Chris Ferreira, if you got any questions for Cody.
Yeah, Cody, I just want to say, great run tonight. Obviously, you're going to have some momentum here. I think that was just a really solid performance out of you tonight. I was really hoping you could have put it all together, but it looked like you were just lacking just a little bit of speed there compared to the 0-4 car. I don't know if it was the clean air or not, but yeah, Cody, just tell me, where do you think your next opportunity is going to come? Do you think it's going to be next week, or do you think it's going to be anywhere at the end of the season where we can finally get the glass zipper to actually fit and get you back to victory lane? Where do you see that coming?
Well, I don't think it's going to come in a mile and a half unless I get lucky. Pack racing, we're so close together. We got 5-6 people racing for the lead. It basically comes down to luck at that point. So I think it's going to be either a short track or Bristol dirt, maybe have a good shot where it's more in the driver's hands other than aerodynamics with this car. So I'm not sure where we're at next weekend. I think it's Atlanta. or wherever we're at. But definitely not mile and a half tracks, but maybe, like I said, maybe Bristol Dirt, maybe New Hampshire. I'm real good at New Hampshire. Short track, Michigan, I'm real good at. So maybe one of those tracks. So I just got to make it there and try to finish every race until then.
Awesome. I like the mindset. I like the approach. Yeah, we're at Atlanta next week. Charlotte, Bristol Dirt, and Road America will be the month of April into May here. The schedule kind of shifted back with last week, so the graphic we just put up will be a week delayed and a week off. So we'll keep the updated one for next week. But yeah, Cody, I like what I'm hearing. I like the approach again. I absolutely really great drive tonight. The pace there. I don't know if you could tell in the car, but there were definitely times where you were running about a full tenth or two ahead of everybody else on track. So very clearly you were doing something on those long runs that worked. You do it again in Atlanta, that could be the one. Could be the race that streak kind of ends and things start to get even better for that number 85 car and the fan base that was out here in huge force tonight. Plenty of people, like genuinely 10 or more in the chat, very vocally cheering for you. So good to see. And if you want to shout out them or anything on the car, now's your opportunity to do so.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to everybody who took time out of their Wednesday night to watch us race. Hopefully, put on a good show for you. And yeah, thanks for tuning in and looking forward to next week.
Awesome. We'll see you at Atlanta, Cody. Shout out to you and Welch Nation or the Cody Natics or whatever you want to call your fan base. Well, maybe think about that next time we get you in the broadcast booth. We'll come up with an official name for the Welch fan club. But with that being said, enjoy your week, Cody. We'll see you next week in Atlanta. And yeah, give them heck. Keep doing what you're doing tonight, and that win will come soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. With that, that'll round off interview number 2 here with Mr. Cody Welch, and a guy who again rattles off another good performance. And I know you Cody fans out there, everybody's going okay, but when's the win coming? We're waiting. We're excited. I think especially after Ricky last week or 2 weeks ago, people are going to be excited to see when that streak ends for Cody as well. And I assure you guys, I feel it in my heart of hearts, it's coming soon. I'm confident in that. If nothing else, if there's any guy I want to bet on, it is Mr. Cody Welch. With that, we're going to go to our final interview of the race with third place finisher and the final driver that tonight's real big 3, the guys that just had a ton of pace, Mr. Curtis Yancey. Hey, Curtis, it is Marshall and Chris up at the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I do.
Hello, Curtis. Good to talk to you again. Finishing third tonight at Dover in a performance that was one for the ages. You, yourself, and Brett, as well as Cody, you 3 were kind of just the big 3 all night, had pace nobody could replicate, and made for a really fun finish. Just talk us through those last couple laps, and the second to last stint and the last stint, trading back and forth with Cody, fighting for second. Did you think there was any shot there at first, or were you really locked into that battle with Welch for second?
Yeah, I mean, when we had that one green flag stop around lap 80-ish, I kind of wanted to save my stuff. I knew pushing it was not going to end well for me. I could have led a lap, but it's not worth it with 40 to go, and you don't know how the rest of the race is going to play out. But yeah, I mean, I tried to go for it, realized, yeah, it's not a smart play, so kind of backed it off. Then my main focus came on Ricky behind, about 2 seconds back, when we had about 20 to go. Then we had those cautions, and did not want to see those, but we prevailed through them, took a set of tires, started third, and just kind of held on to there. But yeah, those last 5-10 laps with Cody, Brett, Ricky, Nick, Lacey, that was fun. That was some of the best racing I've had in this league.
Yeah, how are you finding it over those longer runs? You were talking about wishing things had gone a little bit further on green. I know Cody kind of felt the same way. What was it that was working so well for you on those longer runs and seemed to be giving you and Cody the opportunity to catch Brett? Because you and Cody had very similar pace, but Guzik over the longer runs, that seemed to be where he was struggling, and usually that's where he's a little faster. And I think historically that's where the 51 car is a little bit off the pace compared to those guys. So you did really well in the long runs today. I'm just curious what you and Cody seem to be doing different.
Yeah, I mean, I know Brett was kind of doing the same thing, and everyone kind of figured out that running the middle on entry to middle was kind of the play, and letting it drift up to like that second and a half, third groove, and then arcing it back down on exit. I feel like that kind of helped us on exit speed, and what we lost on entry, we gained a whole lot more on exit. But yeah, Brett was doing the same thing, but he kind of was just doing just a little bit better than me and Cody.
Yeah, I think over the course of the race, you could definitely see guys maturing and changing. And obviously the Monster Mile, one of the toughest tracks on the calendar to do that, tough to predict. So based on, I don't know if you were at the practice race yesterday, but what was your approach going in as far as, did you think it was going to be pretty caution filled? Did you think it was going to be a race of chaos where track position and actual position in the racing order was priority? Or did you expect you were going to get some green flag stints and that long-term tire wear would be key?
Yeah, me and my teammates over at the Ignite group, we all had a little prediction. Everyone predicted more than 10 cautions, but we came out with 7, so I can't complain about a good, clean, fun race.
No, exactly not. I think it definitely seemed to work, and I think, yeah, had we gotten too many more cautions, that's when you and Cody and Brett may have had trouble from the guys in behind. But yeah, I mean, looking at this, another really good performance for yourself. You've been great this year on the points. I think this will move you back up into the top 3. That 51 car has been one of the names to watch this year, and the Cup car and you just seem to be a pretty good combination this year. What is it that you seem to be enjoying about this particular car? Has it been maybe the tracks we started the season off, or do you think this momentum is permanent? Do you think it's here to stay the rest of the regular season?
Well, I haven't had a race strike me down yet to where we get wrecked out, but I'm definitely liking the car on the more super speedway stuff because you can work the runs and work with people and get your car going a lot faster than normal. And the low downforce stuff on the short tracks, I think that makes the racing a lot better. But the intermediates with the whole high downforce stuff, it's just a train and working the air trying to get that. And I don't really like the mile-and-a-half stuff, but I do like the car on short tracks, the super speedways. But definitely looking forward to that dirt race too. That should be a lot of fun.
Awesome. We'll pencil you in for Bristol Dirt, and I'll leave it to Chris Ferreira if you got any questions for Curtis.
Yeah, Curtis, just first want to say, I mean, I'm surprised I haven't talked to you yet this season. You've been running up front pretty much every single week, and it just seems to be you're just right outside that top 3 of the podium there. So, as we look forward to possibly, making a nice charge for the championship here, what do you think that you have to do to kind of make this a little bit more of a consistent happening of you being up here in the booth at the end of the races, and what tracks do you have circled for the end of the season?
Man, I think just staying consistent, staying clean, that's going to be the biggest thing. Even if you finish 8th, 9th, 10th, you just got to stay clean, not get yourself involved in all the chaos. And definitely looking forward to the dirt race. That should be a lot of fun. The road course, that should be fun at Road America. The other short tracks, we got Darlington, even though it's not really a short track, New Hampshire, and Gateway with the low downforce stuff. So looking forward to that. Just definitely not looking forward to Charlotte. That should be just a train fest.
Well, hopefully,
and then depending on what track we run at Atlanta, I don't know if we're running the 2022 Atlanta or the old Atlanta, but that one might be fun. Yeah. It will be the old. All right. So then, yeah, that should still be fun. Should be able to work the bottom and the top.
Awesome. Well, I hope Atlanta's fun. I hope you're right. I hope Charlotte is a little bit more exciting than potentially this package could make on paper. But regardless, fun races tend to lead to results where you do quite well this season so far. And although to be fair, that's pretty much every race. You're right. You're one of the few guys, if any, in the top 10 in points who hasn't had any trouble whatsoever in a single real race in terms of getting involved in too much. So keep doing what you're doing, Curtis. It's been great to see, and I think that this is the path that leads it to a top 8, maybe top 4 berth to cap off the season for you. But you know what to do in the broadcast booth. If you got any shout-outs, any friends and family, any sponsors you want to mention, now's your time to do so.
Yeah, I just want to thank the guys over at Ignite RC. We've been working pretty good together. I think maybe second or third in the team points, maybe first. I don't know. Have to look at that, but I think going up against GFR, it should be a good race towards the end with the team point stuff. But yeah, just want to thank the guys over there. We working on the setup a little bit here with brake bias and steering offset and steering box.
Amazing. Well, with that, we'll wrap it up. But thank you very much, Curtis, for taking some time to talk to us here post race. And again, really great performance. You and the top 2 here were just a completely different in a different postal code to the other guys most of the entire race. So if that pace keeps up, it's going to make a very fruitful season for you. And we'll be talking to you as the first interview sooner rather than later. I guarantee it.
Yeah, hope to talk to you guys next week.
Awesome. See you then. Thanks, Curtis.
Thank you.
There we are. That'll be our final interview of the night with Mr. Curtis Yancey. So there you go, Chris. We are done. The interviews are over. We have your top three guys tonight, that being Brett, Cody, and Curtis. Just put it in a different gear. Had something figured out tonight at Dover, and as a result, they conquer the Monster Mile as your podium. You can see above me the final results have been scrolling here for a while, so let them go one more time. Before we get to your final sponsors and cap off tonight's broadcast. But Chris, any final thoughts? Anything you're excited for going into Atlanta? And what are your thoughts? 5 different winners in 6 races with Brett getting the win tonight. Crazy stuff to start off season 11.
Yeah, I mean, tonight was exactly everything I could have asked for, right? I said at the top of the broadcast, I wanted to see someone kind of try to go out there and dominate the race in more of the traditional fashion of trying to get a lead, maintaining that lead under a green flag run, and we had an exciting finish. You know, that 15 lap run to the end there was really exciting, and Brett was able to hold it off. He led 117 laps and his route to victory there. So it was a really great race, really exciting finish, and I think this just kind of goes to show, just kind of the pace of this league right now, and I think that was a very deserving win of that 04 car. I think he could have won a couple other races earlier this season, but luck didn't quite go his way. But he had all the luck tonight and all the skill to go along with it. So kudos to him. But yeah, really great race. I'm really excited for Atlanta. The old Atlanta it's a great racetrack. It's one of the better mile and a halves out there. Unfortunately, we don't have that track in real life anymore. We have the newer version of Atlanta, which is more like a super speedway. So it's going to be really fun to see these cars out there slipping and sliding around, having to manage the tire once again. So really excited for that one. And of course, I have to thank you for bringing me back up here each and every week. I know we were off 3 weeks ago now, seems like forever ago, but I wasn't able to make it. But you had the great Evan Wall with you, so my race prediction didn't win. Evans did last week anyway, so he has that one up on me. But nonetheless, it was really fun being up here tonight. I got to do my shameless plug. Please go check us out on Facebook, Bandit Racing League, and check us out on Instagram at Bandit Racing League. That's the @ Bandit Racing League. But go check us out for all of the league updates and news. We try to post on there as much as we can. I try to keep it updated. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me there in our DM box. I usually get back to them, as fast as I can. But yeah, go check us out there for all of your league updates and news and Geezer Authentics. And once again, thank you, Marshall, for having me up here for yet another week.
It is always my pleasure, Chris. It was so nice to have you back. It felt like it had been way too long since we got to the traditional gang up here in one of these broadcasts. So great to have you back joining us tonight and back to the usual swing of things where we'll be next week. Back in Atlanta in just 7 days' time, next Wednesday. Circle your calendars, folks. Thank you all again for joining us tonight after a few weeks off. Hopefully your friends and family kept you in the loop there on the fact that we were going to be coming back tonight and just what the situation was for last week. That being said, time for your race sponsors and our series partners here with not only the Bandit Racing League, but the coverage here on Full Send Racing Network as well. So, BanditRacingLeague.com, as always, your place to go for all things Bandit Racing League merch, but just the Bandit Racing League in general. We want to thank them. The Apex Sim Racing is, of course, one of our primary sponsors on behalf of all things sim racing gear. If you want to get yourself involved in iRacing or any other simulator, including the Bandit Racing League potentially, if you want to be a future driver of the series, that is the way you do so there. So Apex Sim Racing, your place to go. And if you check out the link in the description, you can save on your purchase. Just make sure you use the one down below. At the same place, you can go check out our Facebook and all our social medias, as always, below the series description on each broadcast. Perfect Shine Auto Spot, courtesy of GFR Racing and Kevin Foster. We thank them, as always, for being a title partner of the series. Their link is in the description as well. Track Camps and Gourmets, they got a couple shout-outs tonight because there have been some really, really cool camera angles, including these dynamic moving angles you see in the background, including of our lovely virtual crowd here tonight at Dover Motor Speedway in the Monster Mile. EvanWallMedia.com is your place to go for all things graphic-wise. Of course, our buddy Evan Wall joined us a few weeks ago in the broadcast. He's still plenty busy doing all sorts of stuff for his local university and just everything he does production-wise. Really, really impressive, and he's been a long-time partner of the series. So check out his website. Check out his new documentary stuff he's done, too. A lot of stuff involved in short track stock and late model racing. Really cool stuff he makes there, so go check it out. Buttkicker is your place to go. Buttkicker itself makes really cool feedback, sort of haptic systems for rumble and vibration, and they're essentially big stereo systems you put in your seat just to add that extra level of immersion. It's a really cool product. It makes it feel like you're in an actual race car more so than almost any product on the market. Basically force feedback for your butt, which is about the coolest thing you could ever have as a racing driver trying to build your simulator. So to take your setup that extra mile, go to Buttkicker and check out their link in the description to go check out their products. And another place to go check them out is courtesy of the BanditRacingLeague.com website. Moser Racing as well. You want to talk about premier sim racing gear. That is where you want to go for things like wheels. Again, really cool pedals. Different set of products, but very similar in a lot of ways to Apex Sim Racing. So go check out both of our partners there and check out what suits you and what you're looking for to build your sim brake in the future. Bill Harkins uses a Moser wheel, and it is one of his favorite things he's ever used. He's had only glowing reviews of it, and he's been in racing a long time. So trust his word, take our word for it. Go check out their products as well. You already know at this point. Link in the description below. GeezerAuthentics.com, your place for all things Bandit Racing League merch. Once again, if you want merch for your favorite favorites like Cody Welch, Kevin Foster, Eddie Hagge, Nick Nickerson, merch for like everybody in the series, or the new BRL logo. Lots of really, really cool stuff, and all proceeds go back into the Driver Points Fund, which then helps reward our drivers at the end of the season for their awesome performances this season and where they end up in the points. And finally, simracerhub.com. We just added some updates here on the series side to add a little bit more analytics and more stats here for the series, but to keep up with our points after each and every race, it's updated the second the race ends, so you can know right now if you go to simracerhub.com through the Bandit Racing League website where the points look like after tonight's race, or if you want to double check where your favorite driver finished, that is where you do so. And to cap us off, we also want to thank our race sponsor tonight, Next Chapter Outdoors, for the Next Chapter Outdoors 125. Again, Facebook or YouTube, they make really, really good content that advertises I think the lifestyle we all need to try to live a little bit more of, in either big ways or in small ways, to savor the outdoors, to savor the opportunities that's provided by us, and to get some really great content and really get great inspiration to make that a part of your lifestyle. Once again, go check out Next Chapter Outdoors, run by our very own Dawson Guzik. We love supporting him, and to have the sponsor tonight get repped by the race winner, Mr. Brett Guzik, makes it even more special. With that, folks, I am, as always, your host, Mr. Marshall Crocker Jr., alongside Chris Ferreira, and that'll about cap us off for tonight. But before we go much further, we do want to also mention our podcast here in the Bandit Racing League, the BRL Podcast. There's Curtis Yancey's name one more time. But the BRL Podcast is your place to go for post-race updates and a little bit of a recap of each and every week with drivers in the Bandit Racing League series, but also discussion on the real-world results in both things like Monster Energy Supercross, NASCAR, Formula One, IndyCar, anything. You want cool updates, and you also want breakdowns with each well, not each, but breakdowns of some of the top drivers in the series, some important figures in the Bandit Racing League. I've already been on it. Kevin Foster has been on it in the first couple of episodes. Really cool perspectives you'll get to see, and if you just want a bit of a deep dive into a couple guys and see what they're like off the track, well, that is where you go check it out, the BRL Podcast on YouTube. Link in the description. Go subscribe. Check them out each and every week, and that new episode that I think may be featuring Chris Ferreira should be coming out pretty soon for episode 3. So, cool thing, check it out. And remember, if you are interested in being a producer for the Bandit Racing League podcast and you want to join us for about a week, about an hour and a half every week, and help produce content for the new podcast, that is where you want to go. And I have the email for you once again right here. Remember to reach out to bhark, so that's BHARK 2411 at gmail.com is the place to go to potentially produce our podcast in future, and again, to get involved in the Bandit Racing League and get your foot in there to potentially segue into a career of anything else. I got my start in a very similar way. Used to be a third-string commentator and worked my way up. So if you get involved in media, I promise it'll pay back for you, whether you have an interest in a career or just want to try something a little bit different. With that, folks, I won't keep you guys too much longer here. That'll conclude our broadcast tonight on Full Send Racing Network. For Chris Ferrara, for myself, for everybody that runs this awesome league, and tonight's race winner, Mr. Brett Guzik, this has been the Next Chapter Outdoors 125 at Dover. Signing off. We will see you guys next week at Atlanta. And have a happy Easter, everybody. We will see you guys on next Wednesday.